So what are direct and indirect costs? Can you see the screen?
Yes, COT.
Good, 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 good. So what are direct and indirect costs? When we talk about direct and indirect cost, this is one of the very important thing which we as a safety professionals, we need to understand and we need to explain this to our employer. Unfortunately, we have seen that many times whenever safety department is asking for the budget, they are not be able to get this amount of budget because the manager says all the time that we have less budget, we don't have much funds for the safety activities. Why? Because they think that safety department is an unproductive or they are not contributing in the production or the operation. So it is only a liability on us, but we don't see any benefit from this department. If any of you is my voice is repeating. Now it's okay. So what we need to do, we need to calculate the indirect cost in order to convince our management that the controls which they are going to apply, they are also giving them some cost. When we are going to reduce the accidents, which means that we are basically reducing the cost. And when we are reducing the cost, which means the profitability of company is going to be increased. So we have seen that many times that the accident reports, safety department, they are developing the accident reports, they are doing the investigations, but there is very less factor about the cost. And any of the businessman who has started a company for business purpose, they are not here for the charity purpose. They want to earn. If they have spent 1 million, they want to get 5 million. So they are, why they are going to spend too much on the safety if they don't see that the safety is doing anything for them. Rather, safety is always asking for the PPE, is always asking for some other kind of budgets for fire, for first aid, for the training activities. So we need to be, we need to talk to them in their language. When we say their language, which means that they understand the language of dollars, they understand the language of real. So we need to talk them in this language. So then they will come to know that yes, safety is a serious matter. Safety is also a contributor in our profitability. So then you are going to have the resources availability. Remember, I gave you one example yesterday when the operations manager, project manager, he is going to meet director the director is going to approve his budget. But when the safety manager, he wants to meet the director says that I'm very busy, because they know that whenever he will come, he will ask for more funds, for more budgets. He will make complaint that the people are not following the safety, they are not listening, they are not taking seriously. So we need to, on one hand, we need to be very technical, right? We need to create the policies, procedures, risk assessment, which can cause the reduction in accident. But at the same time, we need to also see the commercial priorities of our company. For example, if the company is already going in a very less profit or no profitability, then no need to give the ideas or no need to give the recommendations which includes very high budget. We need to be flexible. But when we say flexible, it doesn't mean that you will ignore the controls. You need to control the ignore. You need to control the hazards. You need to apply the controls, especially those controls which we say recognize hazard, those controls which are immediately dangerous to life and health. So this direct and indirect cost is very important. Direct costs include after the accident, for example, medical costs, other payments, hospitalization. So nowadays in the kingdom, the requirement is that everyone will have two kind of insurance. One is the general insurance. For example, you have with Bupa, with Taunia, with any other company. Then there is GOSI. So in case of accident, when the employee is going into the hospital, they are going to verify the record of GOSI. If they find their name, then they are going to take them and provide them all the treatment free of cost. So we can say that the employer, they have no loss in case of any accident or injury. because they are not going to pay directly from their pocket against this injury or accident. Rather, if there is any other cost which is very important, they are going to bear. So if I'm an employer and I don't need to give 1,000 real, 10,000 real from my pocket or from my company finance, why should I care for you? Right? I will care for you once I will see that, oh, I have to give the penalty, oh, I have to give the hospital expenses. Then I will be taking these things more seriously, rather than if I have an insurance policy and every year we are submitting the premium amount to that insurance company, and they are going to renew our card, they are going to renew our GOSI registration. So this budget is very minimum amount. In case of indirect cost, what could be the indirect cost is the lost time. For example, there are a group of 3 staff who are responsible for one machine, and one of the operator, which is the main operator, he got injured and he is hospitalized for a couple of days. The doctor told him that we will make his surgery, so he has to be in the hospital for maybe 1 week, and after that he has to take 1 month bed rest, or he will not be able to work. So this lost time, for example, if you are working in a company and your colleague who is very close to you, he is on the same area where you are working, you are also in the same accommodation, like that. So how you are going to feel? Will you be able to work on that day if you will see that your colleague, your close friend has got the accident? Definitely no, right? You don't want to work because you are not feeling, your heart is very much broken, you don't feel good from inside, and you will have this argument on your on your mouth that, see, our company, they don't care about ourselves. Today my friend is getting injured, and tomorrow I will also be doing the same work on the same machine, so it might be possible that I also get the injured. So in the morning when you are driving towards to your company, and this thing comes in your mind that I am going to do the same critical job which my friend was doing yesterday, and he has got severe injury, and still the things are same, so it might be possible that I will also get the injury. So what do you think then? What will be the level of your productivity? All
Less.
productivity is going to be
Less.
down.
Mm.
Your morale is going to be down.
Mm.
So you will be going to the company just to pass the time, rather than to show your full skills, to show your full abilities, because you know that our company, they don't care about us, so why should we care about the company? So the lost time, similarly, if now you had member of three workers, one of the worker is now injured, so the other 2 workers, they have to work for 12 hours to compensate the 24-hour shift. So what about those 12 hours workers? What will be their level of productivity if you are going to have every day 16 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours work? Then definitely after 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, you are going to get sick. So it might be
Mm.
possible that you will also get the leaves. So the productivity is going to be reduced. Similarly, if there is any injury, if there is any accident which is going to come, then what will be the attitude of media? Nowadays, mashallah, we are all reporters, we are all journalists. Whenever we see anything negative, we are going to take the videos and we forward it to our all 20, 30 groups, and we think that it's a sadqa jariya from all of us. Is it the same case with you also, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
So
sir.
last year there was a fire in Yenpet, Yambu, refined company for the chemicals. So
Netpet or Yenbet?
Netpet, sorry,
Yes, yes, yeah, Netpet. We
in
work in it.
yeah, in
Yambo.
refinery, in Ramadan. So there
Yes.
was a fire incident, and there was some loss. I called my friend who is living in Yambu. What happened? Are you safe? He was also working there. He told, what happened? I don't know. I just finished my work and I came back to my home. So you know, those people who are working in the same company, those people who are living in the Yambu, they don't know about this incident. And mashallah, the people who are living in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Philippines, everyone, they are knowing. What is the benefit of this news? And I personally know that this company is a very good company. They have very good controls about the safety, but accidents are possible. So due to this, the reputation of the company is going to be
Down.
decrease. The morale of the people who are working in the company, it's going to be reduced. Similarly, what about the material loss? What about the delays? For example, if you are on the bed rest, so definitely the company needs your alternate for 1 month, for 3 months, whenever you are injured, you are out of the work. So maybe they will be hiring a temporary labor or contracting labor, which might be possible that they are not skilled like your operator. So definitely the productivity is going to be reduced. Or if they are going to hire a new person, so you know, hiring is a full process, and especially if you are hiring from any other country, so visa issues and then interviews and then tickets and all these things, they are taking too much time. So the time which is being consumed due to this accident, we need to calculate the cost of this time. And then we need to show the management that last year we have wasted our this number of hours, which means this number of cost. And then we apply our safety controls, we improve our safety protocols, we apply our safety system. So after that, now this year we have this less number of incidents, this less number of hours which are going to be lost, and which means that we have reduce this time, this profit, which the profit is going to be increased, which we have wasted last time. So this study you need to do, and definitely it's not an easy job. You need to get the information from HR about the employees, about the lost times, about their salaries. You need to take the information from administration department, you need to take the information from the operations or production department, then you are going to calculate these things. But unfortunately, as I told you, most of the safety professionals, safety engineer, managers, they don't know about this thing, indirect cost. So they are not going to show this cost to the management. So definitely, if the management does not know that how much is your contribution, I mean the safety contribution in the profitability, then they are not going to take you seriously. That's a very simple thing. Clear? On average, the direct cost is, the indirect cost is like 2.7. Sometimes it goes to the 4 times. For example, if you are wasting your 4,000 real for direct cost, so the indirect cost will be up to 12,000 real, 16,000 real. But we don't calculate it, so nobody cares about these things. Any question? Okay. So what are hazards? Khatar. What do you think? Hazard.
Dangers.
Dangers. In Arabic, you call it khatar.
Khatar, yes.
And the risk is
Risk.
makhatir.
Yes.
See?
Khatar, risk, dangers.
Good, good. So hazard is also a player. I think it's a footballer.
Hazard.
And also the wrestler, one of the wrestler in old times when you were young, when I was young. Still I'm young, but when I was a child. So hazards. OSHA defines hazard as a danger which threatens physical harm to the employees. See, before starting the hazard, we need to understand two things, two terminologies which are very necessary to understand and to be very clear on these things. The first thing is the injury, and the second thing is the ill health or illness, right? What is injury and what is ill health? Anyone?
Injury is physical?
And ill health is chemical?
No, I
No,
think so.
hazards is a something
Internal.
can cause.
Yes, Usama.
Hazards is something which can cause a problem to us or dangerous to us.
I'm not talking about hazard. I'm just asking about injury and illness. or ill health.
Illness is when you get sick from any disease or some,
Very good. Yes, exactly. So when we call injury, injury is the physical harm which we can see physically. For example, you have a small injury and you are having bandage. Anyone will see, oh, what happened? What happened? Salama, salama, salama. Right? This is our injury, which maybe we are going to use the bandage, which may cause bleeding. And our illness
Physical.
is not the physically. This is something which you cannot see physically. Only the person who is suffering from ill health, he is going to feel this. For example, you have, due to the manual handling or lifting of heavy weight, or lifting of cartons, you are in your company, you get the back ache, right? When you are working too much on computer or laptop, you will get neck problems. When you are suffering with high heat, you are getting sweating, right? You are suffering with high noise, you get stress. Your physical condition is not be able to work more when you are working in noisy areas or high heat areas or very cold areas, extreme temperatures. Our body cannot be. So in this case, you are not going to have any bleeding, you are not going to have any injury, but this will be a illness. For example, this COVID situation now, it's a very good example. It's ill health or it's injury?
Ill health.
Ill health. Very good. Because it's going to be happen, and
Internally.
it's a contagious disease, right? It
Yes.
is going to be spread very fast. So in this case, we don't see any bleeding, we don't see any scratch or wound or anything, amputation. So these all amputation, wound, bruises, these are all our injury. And the other things, when we have any pain, when we have any ache, when we have any sweating or stress, these are all our ill health issues. So when we are working in health and safety, when we are working as a safety engineer, when we are working as a safety officer or safety manager or in HSC department, our focus will be on both. We have seen that the companies, 70% of the companies, they are only focusing on the safety, 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 physical harm, physical harm, physical harm, but they are not working on the ill health side. So that's why, if you see in oil and gas, before they have only safety manager, they have only safety department, but now this has been replaced with HSE department, health safety environment department, HSEQ, for example, health safety environment quality, QHSE, IMS, right? HSSE. In some companies you will find health safety and security department. So why this health has been introduced? Before it was only safety, but now since the last 10 years, 12 years, this health part is also being introduced, because many of our activities which we are performing in the companies, they are going to cause us health issues rather than only the safety issues. And also the study says that in last couple of years, the employees were getting more absent due to ill health issues rather than injury issues, because injury issues are very common and anyone can see, and they can they can apply the control. But ill health issues are not very common. Everyone cannot see. Those people who have the knowledge about health, those people who are having the knowledge about industrial hygiene, they can only know this and they can apply the control. But again, there is also a challenge from the management side, that the management, when they are going to see a physical harm, they get serious. But when you say that due to the noise the people are suffering, they will say, okay, use the PPE, but they are not going to apply the controls. So that's the main thing. We need to focus on ill health, we need to focus on injury, right? So now OSHA defines a hazard as a danger which threatens physical harm to the employees. Physical harm, again, injury, we need to focus on injuries. And expanding on that basic definition, we can think of a hazard as unsafe workplace condition or practice that could cause an injury or illness, right? So OSHA also defined that any unsafe workplace condition or practice, when we are going to do the health and safety inspection for any of the area, we are going to focus on two main things. One is the unsafe act, right? Unsafe act or unsafe practice, which is due to the people. And the second thing, unsafe condition. This unsafe condition is due to our infrastructure, due to our machinery, due to our overall setup which is being developed. It is not due to the human. The human are doing unsafe acts. So we focus in our safety inspection, unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. So OSHA also defined that those dangers which can cause you the injury or illness to the employee, these are considered as hazard. A hazard may be an object, tools, equipment, machinery, or material, or a person when distracted, mentally, physically incapable. How a person be hazard? Can anyone explain this? How a person can be hazard?
If a forklift operator is operating a forklift in a high speed, he can be a hazard.
Okay, very good, very good. Any other example?
If someone is forcing you to do some danger works,
Yeah,
maybe he don't know how to work.
very good, excellent example. That the
Maybe
person is incompetent. If
yeah,
a
he
person is
don't have
incompetent,
experience.
very good. For example, if I ask Khalid to run the boiler, right? He
Yeah,
cannot run the
right. Yeah.
boiler in industry. I'm not asking the boiler of your bathroom. I'm asking the boiler of your company. So Khalid does not have experience to run the boiler. So this person could be a hazard for himself and it could be a hazard for the others as well. For example, if I ask someone who doesn't know the driving that you are now 30 years old, so you should drive. So yalla, let's take my car and drive. Try to. So if he is not be able or she is not be able to learn the driving and we are going to give him our car to drive, so he could be a hazard for himself. He could be a hazard for others, those who are on the road, right?
True.
So, and a person who is mentally distracted could also be a hazard. Other than person, we could be tools, equipment, machinery, material. Tool, if they are not using the right tool for the right job, for example, where we need to use the hammer and we are going to use the spanners, where we are going to use the spanners, we are using the screwdrivers. This could be a tool. Equipment, if we don't know how to run this equipment, how to operate this equipment, if the equipment does not have safety protocols available, for example machine guarding, for the equipment is unsafe, the equipment does not have the uh, you know insulation, proper insulation, a machinery having the problems of hydraulic, pneumatic, if it is not safe in this regard, material, for example you are using chemical and the chemical is going to spill on you, the chemical, it goes in your eyes, the chemical is going to uh, some other type of material, for example papers, carton, sharp edges. So these are all our hazards. uh, Let me give you one example. In a company, in a chemical plant, there were two operators in the night shift, right? Two operators in the night shift, and the batch was about to ready and their automatic system was out of order for some maintenance activity, so it was manual control. So one of the operator told that, okay, I'm going for the fajr prayer, and by the time you just keep an eye on it, the batch is about to be ready. So he told, it's okay, no problem, you can go, I'll take care of it. When he went, so in the meantime, when you have before fajr, you will have very good sleep.
Yes.
So and if you are alone and there is air condition and everything is in your favor, then you will have a big shaitan with you. So he fall in sleep, that operator, and unfortunately the batch, it becomes a spill. So alhamdulillah, there was no such loss of human, but the batch itself was chemical was very expensive. So when they did the risk assessment, when they did the accident investigation, it come to know that if you are a safety manager, then what do you think? Who will be the responsible? I ask you. Yes, Afra, if you are a safety manager and they have done this thing, so what do you think? Who is responsible first?
I think it's the manager and the employees.
How the manager? How the manager is responsible?
Because he should keep an eye for his employees.
It's they are in the night shift. There are two operators in the night shift. There is no manager in the night shift.
Mm.
Yes. Any other? Murtaza, if
There
you
is
are a
the
manager,
No, if I'm the manager, it's the employee's fault because
employees
it
fault.
was because it was a night shift and there were two persons.
Mm-hmm.
So already it was taken care that in the night shift they already must have slept for in the day. So it means they were not overstressing, they were not overburdened. Still the person slept, so it was his responsibility.
Okay. Good. Good. Yes. Any other?
Also,
Having some
that
different answer.
the safety manager should strictly instruct both of the operators to always stay on station, never to
Okay.
leave it alone by one of them,
Mm-hmm.
because these are the small
That's
incidents.
why they have two operators, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
In one shift.
they already had two operators, so it means it was
So
the
if one sleeps, the other should be awake or should be on duty. After their shift is over, they can take. Or if the batch is about to be ready, both of them should be on their stations always.
Okay. Right. Right. So the story is, let me complete the story. Then I hope you will get much better idea. So when they did the investigation, it came to know that the operator who fallen in sleep, he has already applied for leaves for vacations three
that's
times in last one week. He had applied three times for vacation because his father was hospitalized. So he was working in the night shift, and in the daytime he used to stay in the hospital, and in the night time his brother he used to stay in the hospital. So now what do you think? Who is responsible?
Top management.
Top
Top.
manager.
Definitely
They
the
should have allowed him.
supervisor for them, he rejected his vacation all the time, and he told that we don't have any other option. So okay, if you cannot work in the day shift, just work on the night shift, so you will have less pressure. Some you can say some tricks which most of the time the engineers and managers they do with the operator or the supervisor when they have lack of manpower. Okay, in daytime everyone is available, top management is available, so we need to be alert. No problem, you can work in the night shift, so you can make setting with your friend, your other colleague operator. So the investigation, it concluded that the responsible was supervisor. It was neither operator 1 or operator 2. The responsible was supervisor, who did not forward his vacation application to the management or HR department for the approval. So we need to go in the root cause, right? 90% of the times in our companies, when we are going to do the investigation, we make guilty the employee. He is non-serious, he is doing every time this activities, every time he is having the horse playing during the work, he is incompetent, we explain him many times, but he is non-serious attitude, blah 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 blah, and we close the case. But
yes.
always remember, behind every accident there is a management failure.
Mm-hmm.
Behind every accident there is a management failure. So many of the people, they are not be able to apply the controls, and we are always criticizing our low level staff, and we close the case. But it's not something which is in I have certain other examples which I can give if we are going to discuss more. But anyway, so hazard is our unsafe act or unsafe condition, and hazard is our injury and illness both and it takes a hazard and exposure to the hazard to get accident. Hazard and exposure. You are crossing the road and the car is coming with high speed. Hazard is a high speed car and you exposed those
Mm.
accident, right? You are walking on a construction site and something has fall from the crane, or some nuts or bolt, they are going to fall from the height. When it comes to you, you are getting exposed with this hazard, so you will get the accident. So what are the methods to identify hazards? What are the methods to identify the hazards? Number one is the observation. You will go and you will see. When we say observation, it is from there, from your own experience. Again, you will be observed, recognize hazard. You will be observed unsafe acts. You will be observed unsafe conditions. So this is called our observation. It could be a planned activity. It could be an unplanned activity. No problem. It could be done by safety department. It could be done by anyone. So the observation is an opportunity for improvement most of the time. Then you can take the survey. For example, you have certain questions you can ask different group of people. For example, what are the hazards of your areas? What were the last accidents? When did the last accident happen? Right? How many times you have complained about the accidents or unsafe condition? So in this way, you will also get the information about the hazards. Workers interview, you can take group interview, you can take individual interview to check that what are the hazards which are associated to them, because workers are the main key player. They are the one who are always under attack. They are our first line of control. They are our first line of command, who are always exposed to the hazards.
Mm.
Engineers, managers, they are sitting in their rooms, they are making the reports, they are having the meetings all the time. They are not on the machine all the time. So we need to be very close with the workers. We need to ask them, we need to take their consent for many things. Then we can take the information about hazard with walk around inspection. What is the difference between walk around inspection and observation? Inspection and observation. Difference between inspection and observation.
Observing is just observing from far away, and you won't find the main concerns. If you take a walk around inspection, you can look for things and physically uh, check out things and inspect that if something is wrong with it. Are the like on site, for example, you gave an example for the electrical boards.
Mm-hmm.
Necks are open or are they damaged? Are there enough fire extinguishers near uh, electrical boards or near kitchen areas? And if the fire extinguishers keys are still in, are their expiry dates? These kind of things, and
I think so. Walk around inspection is what do you call that? Unscheduled.
Okay, walk around inspection is unscheduled and observation is
no, it is
Observation.
background
Yeah.
inspection is
okay.
scheduled.
Any other?
To time checkup on a worker if
Sorry. Sajjad? Yes, please. Yes, Sajjad, you were saying something. Any other guy?
Yeah, inspection. Maybe that's happen when the employees don't know there is today instruction.
Okay. An observation?
Observation, yeah. But walk around, maybe it's schedule or
Okay. See, the simple difference between observation and inspection is that
sorry, can you tell?
observation will be done by your previous or past experience, right? Observation will be done on the basis of your common sense, on the basis of your past experience, on for the recognized hazards. But walk around inspection, when we say inspection, it's mean a formal activity. It
Oh.
will be scheduled and you will be having some standard, you will be having some guidelines, you will be having some procedure to evaluate the requirements again against this standard or guideline. For example, you will have OSHA standard checklist with you while you will be doing the inspection. But for the observation, no need for OSHA inspection checklist. Most of the time, the result of observation, it could be a positive observation, it could be a negative observation, no problem. Result of inspection is pass or fail most of the time. Have you seen that the third party inspector, they used to come in your company and they make the inspection for different things? So most of the time, it's if you are meeting the requirement or if you are not meeting the requirement. If you are not meeting the requirement, it might be possible they are going to give you penalty. It might be possible they are going to make you fail. So inspection is a formal activity, and it will be done by using some guidelines, some standard, some checklist. But on the other hand, observation is a random click. Okay. Document review. So which of the document are you going to review to get the idea about the hazards?
Incident reports, sir. Incident report, investigation reports.
Very good. Yes, Amanat. Sharif, Saqib. Which of the documents are you going to?
Review the document if there is accident last month, last year.
Very good. Very good. Yes, any other? Afra?
They will check the logs
You will check the logs. Logs of what?
of incident reports, of
Very
accident
good.
reports.
Any other thing other than accident reports, from where you will get the information about hazards?
The last walk-around inspection and
Very
the
good.
formal
Excellent.
latest.
Excellent.
They will
You
compare
will check
whether
the
there are any
last
rectification or
inspection
not.
reports. You will check the last inspection reports. You will check the last audit reports. You will check if any report issued by the ministry or the labor, labor ministry about health and safety. You will also check very important thing, the risk assessment. For example, you have been hired in a company and you have to check what is the level of them. So how do you get the information on day one? You are going to check their risk assessment. You are going to check their risk assessment. Risk assessment is our backbone of the company. So we will get the information about hazards by reviewing the risk assessment, by reviewing the accident reports, by reviewing the inspection reports, by reviewing the legal bodies reports, by reviewing the safety audit reports, and there are many other documents which we can, insurance record, absenteeism record. There are many document reviews which are possible to get information about the hazards, right? Any question? Okay, guys. So now we have identified the hazards by doing the walk around inspection or by doing the inspection. It's time to apply the controls. When you are going to see any unsafe condition or unsafe act, you are going to apply the controls. Most of the time and most of the common control which we are going to apply in the companies is which one?
PPE.
PPE, your favorite PPE. I know all of you like PPE because it is the least control.
Elimination, sir. Elimination of hazards.
For me, yes, very good. For me, PPE is not the control, really. PPE is not the control, and I will justify this argument in a couple of minutes why PPE is not the control. So the first thing which we are going to apply is the elimination. We are going to apply the control of elimination. Eliminate the hazard. So if the hazard is going to be eliminated, then there is no chance for accident. But elimination of hazard most of the time is one of the most difficult control. For example, if you have the machine available, if you have a electrical board available, if you have an electrical panel available, and there are some hazardous conditions are going to be developed, you cannot eliminate the machine. You cannot eliminate the panel board. So elimination is the best control.
Mm.
If elimination is not possible, then substitute it with less hazardous control. If elimination is not possible, then substitute it with
So,
less hazardous control.
Mm.
So substitution is also a very good control. Substitute. And then we have engineering control. For example, if you have a generator which is producing high noise, the first thing is to eliminate the generator and go back to your Saudi electricity, kaharba. If elimination is not possible, then substitute this high noise generator with a low noise generator, right?
Mhm.
And if you cannot substitute, you don't have any other options for the substitution of hazard, then you can apply the engineering control by putting the guards, by making the on time maintenance. Sometimes the noise becomes more due to the if the maintenance is not done, if the lubrication is not done on time, right? So we
now,
need to apply engineering
yeah.
control. And if the engineering controls are not possible, then we are going to apply administrative control. Administrative control in engineering control, basically we are working on the source of hazard. In administrative control, we are not working on the source, but we are trying to isolate the source. So there will be no human interaction or very less human interaction. For example, if you have a control panel available, have you seen in the companies when there is a control panel room, you will find one notice: only authorized persons are allowed. If you go to the hospitals, there are some of the areas where you will find the sign: only doctors are allowed, only X-ray operator is allowed, right? So what they are doing, basically they cannot eliminate the hazard, they cannot substitute the hazard, but they are basically applying the administrative control to make sure that the people are not getting close to this hazard. Have you seen sometimes when you are going on highway, those people who are living in Yambo or those people who are traveling to highway, sometimes you will find on the highway there are some barriers. There is red and white ribbon, there is yellow and black tape, there will be some barriers, you will find physical barriers. What are these things? Whenever there is some work on the highway or on the roads, you will find these kind of barriers. What are
Safety
these
tips.
controls? These are basically administrative controls, because you have to work on it. So you cannot stop the work. So you are making the alternate routes, you are applying the barriers. Instead of 3 lanes, you are now moving in 1 lane only. When I used to go to Riyadh all the time, whenever there is metro work, all the roads are now under construction. When I used to go to Yambo, when we are entering in the Yambo after checkpost, lot of infrastructure development is going on. So these things are all basically our administrative control, because they cannot stop the work and they cannot stop the roads. So what they are going to do, they are making the alternates. This alternates are basically our administrative control. Our permit to work is our administrative control. What is permit to work? We will discuss it later. So if the engineering controls are not possible to apply, then we are going to apply administrative control. A very good example of administrative control, have you seen, if you are going on highway on Friday morning, right? You will find many of the roads, they are under construction, they are having some maintenance activities. Why they choose the Friday morning time?
Least number of cars.
Very good, because at that time the cars, the vehicles on the road are the least. But if they are going to choose Sunday morning, then what will happen? Too much traffic jam, they cannot work like that. So this is our administrative control, because
Also, large vehicles are allowed to travel
exactly,
inside city after 12 night.
exactly. So that's why we are going to do the administrative controls. When the engineering controls are not possible, we are going to apply administrative controls. And then we have PPEs. PPE, your favorite, where we are not working on the source, we are trying to cover our people. We are PPE is the control which is going to save the individuals, right? Only the personal. not the group. If everyone is not wearing the PPE, so all of you will not be safe. If someone is wearing the PPE, relevant PPE, which is needed for this hazard, then he is going to be safe. So why I say that PPE is not the control for me? Because according to my experience, according to my observation in many companies, when you are required to have any PPE, okay, for example, you need the cut resistant gloves. So
Mm-hmm.
you are going to issue the purchase request. The purchase department or the procurement department, they will take three quotations, right? They will compare the quotations and they will go with the which quotation they are going to go.
Go with the rubber gloves.
No, they are taking the three quotation, and the quotation amount which is the least,
Least, the
they are
least.
Yeah,
going
the
to,
least, the least.
okay, if it is
Just
not
to
least,
remember.
or if their friend is working in one of the company as a contractor,
Mm.
then they are going to give the purchase order to him, right?
Personal benefits.
So in this case, when the cut resistant gloves will come into the company and you are getting issued from the store and you are using this cut resistant and you are very confident that all is well, right?
Mhm.
The problem, it comes when we get the accident. Unfortunately, whenever we have the safety PPEs, whenever they are coming in the companies, many of us, we don't inspect them if they are suitable for the purpose or no. When we are taking the cut resistant gloves, there are 100 types of cut resistant gloves, starting from excellent quality up to very bad quality is available in the market. So the person or the contractor who is giving you very cheap kind of in a very cheap rates, definitely the quality will be compromised somewhere, right? So since we don't inspect them when it is coming in our company, so we don't know if it is suitable for the job or no. Have you checked it by cutting? Whenever you have the safety shoes, did you check them by putting the weight, really weight on them? No. Most of us, we don't check it. And another problem, which is the major problem, that whenever maintenance department, they need one spare part, they are going to give the full information. For example, if they need a bearing or capacitor, they will write capacitor 4 ampere made in Japan, blah blah blah, this company, right? But when you are going to write the cut resistant glove, you will just write the cut resistant glove. You are not going to provide the specification, you are not going to provide the standard. So what do you think, that procurement guy is a technical person? He is not the expert of safety. You are the expert of safety. It is your responsibility to write the full standard, to write the full specification for the PPEs which you are trying to purchase. And then when it is being purchased, before accepting it into your company, it is your responsibility to make the inspection, to test them, and then allow them to keep it in their store to accept this stock. Otherwise, it could be a very dangerous. It is the same thing which we have, all is well, all is well. That's it. But in actual, all is not well. And we are trying to take the risk with our people. So now you come to know that why I say PPE is not the control. If you are doing all these activities in regards to PPE purchasing and the usage, then very good, excellent. If you are not following these protocols, then you are still at risk. Yes, guys, any question? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay,
No, sir.
good. So now I'll show you one video and then you will be identifying the hazards. Okay.
Mhm.
If you see the WhatsApp group, I have sent one file, which is the form, for a very basic form, just to get the idea. As I told you, risk assessment is not the part of our OSHA course, but I personally feel that any of the safety training is incomplete without the risk assessment. So it is, as it is the backbone of the safety. So we will be showing you one picture and you will be identifying only 3 hazards. Okay. And then you will be applying the control. You will be identifying 3 hazards and then you will be applying the control. I will share the picture now and I will divide you into the 2 groups again. Same thing. Okay. Let me show you first the picture. Can you see the picture?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Very good. Very good. You can take the screenshot of this picture or you can take in the mobiles. So I will divide you into groups to do the exercise. Done? Have you taken the picture?
Done.
Okay. Other guys, just take the picture of this.
Done.
Okay, let me divide you into 2 groups. Okay, so in group number 1, we will have a okay. Yalla, let's start.
The leg worker. Hello.
Yes.
Looks- You listen. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
guys.
I cannot hear you, sir.
Why you can't hear me?
I am, sir.
Yes. Who is going to start? Who is going to start? Irtiza, Afra, Khalid.
I think he's not, things. You're right, I think. You can share it.
I am. Can you? Hello. Can
Yeah,
you hear?
we can see the screen. We can see your screen.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can
I
hear you.
can
Yes,
hear.
I can
Okay.
hear you.
Now
So
I can.
the first of the hazards is collision of vehicles of the concrete mixer.
Very good.
People can be harmed or, I mean, human injury and property damage.
Good, good.
So people will be minor injury for, and they can, if there is a concrete mixer, shove someone in the water also, so they can drown in the water.
Ask yourself again if the vehicle is going to get collide with a person or
Uh-huh.
two vehicles are getting collide, will they get only first aid or minor injury?
I meant to write there, they will be trapped between the vehicle.
This is
Mod,
this is
why?
this
There
is the
could be a death in.
second hazard. We are talking about first hazard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's death.
Oh, I
Yes,
have
it's death.
written it after comma. Yeah. Supposed to write fatality over here also.
I mean, how the people might be harmed when you say
Fatality.
fatality. Okay, I accept. Okay, next existing control is competent staff. How do you know they are competent staff?
We have to make sure, and we have to train them.
Make sure is
Nahin.
the additional control, not existing control.
Existing, what is you can see now happening.
So, what is your existing control here?
Existing control. I don't see the picture right now. They have three workers around the concrete mixer. So
I'm
they're following it, but without the flagman.
no, I'm asking about existing control. What is the existing control have you seen for competent staff or daily inspection? Is this existing control or additional control?
This is I think it's a existing control.
Where, how do you know that the staff is competent? Explain me. How do you know that the staff is competent? Existing controls are those controls which are available here now.
Right now in the picture.
Yes.
Yes.
So how do you know that the competent staff is there?
It's around the concrete mixer. There are three people.
They are stupid people. Why they are around the concrete mixer? They are not the competent. They are incompetent. If I am the
Yes,
manager, I
yes,
will fire
yes,
them. So
yes.
the competent means capable. How they are capable? So we don't see competent staff here. So this could not be an existing control. And daily inspection, how do we know that they are doing the daily inspection? Where are your other group members? They have left you alone.
They have left me alone.
They are smiling basically. They're just listening me and
They
they are
didn't
smiling on
understand.
you.
They actually didn't understand the word, the meaning of existing control. That's the
Ah,
problem. The
I
concept.
understood. I understood the existing controls, but I couldn't find in the picture.
So you
To
just presumed, huh?
yeah, I did
so
that.
there is
So
no existing control. You can write no existing control. Existing control are those controls which are available on site when you are doing the risk assessment activity. So if you think there is no, for me, there could be a existing control. For example, we can see there are barrier doors available. So this could be an existing controls. In the picture, you can see there are net mesh
Yeah.
doors or net doors are available.
Yeah.
This could be an
Entrance.
existing control.
On the entrance.
Okay, so engineering control, what engineering control are you going to recommend additional controls?
we will add training and awareness for the incompetent staff which is around, and by engineering controls.
Engineering control, what engineering control are you going to apply? You have written we will apply engineering control. So what is that engineering control?
Actually, when I was writing these things down, I meant to write it for the multiple hazards. So I could say like we can add the flagman around the vehicles.
See,
And
sometimes you have to walk, but you are running.
yeah,
Slow and steady wins the race. I told you to identify only 3 hazards,
Yes.
and you
yes,
guys started identifying 6, 7 hazards. So the time which we have allotted you for the 3 hazards, it was more than enough to write the good controls.
yes.
But since you have identified 6 controls, so you thought that we have to complete within time, and then whatever
No,
you
no,
are going
no.
to write, you are not clear on. No
I
need for
could
general
explain.
control.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But when I wrote add flagman around vehicles, I meant to say add them for the telescopic handler on the first floor
Mhm.
also. So for that over here, I've explained it because there wasn't much space. So I wrote
Okay.
also to choose telescopic handlers arm down if there is no operator around it.
Right.
Maybe
So this
apply the supervisor
yeah,
to
this
direct
one is
the
for this
trucks.
one.
Okay. So let's go to the next hazard. Which of the
Next
hazard you
hazard
will?
is there's a telescopic handler. There's a vehicle on the top floor,
Mm-hmm.
on the back, and in the picture, if you zoom in, there might be there isn't any operator inside it.
Okay.
So, and it can also collide with. There are also no workers around it, so it just left attended, without closing it.
Okay.
Supervision.
So it can also give us a human injury and property damage, and
Mm-hmm.
they're supposed to close the arm.
Okay. So what are the controls you are going to recommend for this purpose?
Add a flagman around the
Mm-hmm.
vehicle and also close the telescopic handler's arm if there's no workaround or no
Okay, good,
operators on it.
good. Very good. Excellent.
And there is no existing control shown right now over there.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Number 3.
And number 3 is fall protection for water and the ground. If someone falls from
Mm-hmm.
the top floor to the down, there's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be warning signs for recognized hazards, which is over
Fall
there
protection,
people
water and
can
ground.
die.
I didn't get it.
Of-
Fall protection
What I meant to say for water is they can drown in the water.
from where?
From
From the
where?
roads or from the height?
From no. Actually, I tried to made 2 points into the third one. If they
Same
fall
as.
from the height, if
Mm-hmm.
they fall from the height, they will
Okay.
they can cause an injury. Their head might open, something like
Ah,
that.
cha, cha, cha,
And
cha, cha. So
if
you
they
have,
if they fall
oh,
if they fall in
don't
the
mix two
water,
hazards
they will
together.
drown. Yeah.
Okay, okay. See,
If they-
see. Let me guide you further on this activity.
Mhm.
Whenever we are going to do the risk assessment, always remember that at one time you are going to identify one hazard. The hazard could be one, but the impact could be more than one. For example, if they are going to fall in from the height, okay, this is one hazard. Due to this one hazard falling from the height, there could be a human injury, right? But at the same time, if they are going to fall into the sea or river which is going around them, so there could be a impact that they are going to be drawn into it, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, when we have the hazard of collision of vehicle, so there could be a possibility that 2 3 impacts are there. For example, if there is a collision with the vehicle, there could be a equipment damage, there could be a material damage, there could be a human injury, right?
Yes.
So when we are going to identify one of the hazard, we need to, the hazard could be one, but the impact could be more than one. Similarly, the hazard could be one and the control could be more than one. The more control you are going to apply, which means more protective you are now. The
Yeah.
less control you are going to apply, which means that you are on, still you are on high risk and you can get accident at any time.
Hmm.
So this is the purpose of our this exercise. As I told you, this is a very generic exercise. I try to make it more simpler. In IOSH, there are 3 chapters about the risk assessment. So those who are, inshallah, they will be taking the IOSH course, they will see that how much is the depth involved in the risk assessment. And you will have videos and you will have pictures to do the risk assessment. Anyway, we are going to stop here about the risk assessment. Let me show you the video and then we will be taking the break for Salah. Can you
Okay.
please unshare your slides? Thank you. Any question about risk assessment? Any question about risk assessment, guys?
No, thank you, sir.
Clear. If I give you homework, then I will see how much is it going to be clear. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Good. Okay, guys, clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, let's have a break. We will continue 4:10, inshallah. Yes, guys, available? Shall we?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so our next module is about walking and working surface. Every day when we are working in the companies or at our workplace, we are having many kind of accidents which are due to walking and working. When we say working, it could be working at height. When we are walking, it could be when we are walking on the roads, when we are walking on the stairways and ladders, or wherever we are going to perform our activities. And these walking and working activities can cause starting from a minor injury up to a major injury, and it leads to a death. So that's why it's very important to understand the requirements of walking and working so we can improve our work activities. OSHA 29 CFR 1910 standard section number 22, it discusses about housekeeping, aisles and passageway, covers and guardrails, floor loading protection. So we will be discussing these topics step by step. The first thing is the housekeeping. As required by OSHA, we need to maintain a good level of housekeeping at our work sites. When we say housekeeping, what does it mean? Housekeeping means what?
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean. Okay. More.
In its place.
Keep the thing managed.
Yes.
Keep the thing managed.
Material should be arranged properly.
Very good. Very good. So when we say housekeeping, sometimes our concept is to have the cleaning only. But cleaning is not only the housekeeping. Cleaning is the part of housekeeping. When we say housekeeping, which means that we need to set in order, we need to make our things standardized. It's not like today we have put our cartons, our pallets at one location, and tomorrow we are going to put in another location. The things are coming on way of the vehicles where we have the walkway, these are blocked. So these are all in our housekeeping issues. And around 40% of the accidents, fire accidents, are causing due to bad housekeeping issues. When the material is left over and there is some fire or there is a source of ignition, so we get the fire accidents. So housekeeping is very important. To get further idea about housekeeping, I'm going to give you the homework that you need to search about 5S methodology. 5S methodology is basically a Japanese tool, 5S. Some people, they have now said that it's now 6S, but in Japan, it's still is they are working as 5S. 5S is 5S includes shine, set in order, sorting. These are all like 5S. Okay. So these are all basically our housekeeping. In our companies, if we are going to apply 5S activities, we will see the improvement very rapidly, very fast, because many of the material, many of the things are staying in our companies without any reason. Even we don't need them, even we are not going to utilize them. So you will find many of the material in the workshops, in the warehouses, in the stores are being available since long time. Similarly, we can also do the housekeeping of our computers. If you see your desktop, you will find many files which are useless, which you are not going to use them. If you see your download folder, you will find many files which are, we will find many files in our computer which are useless, or which we are not going to use them, but these are still keeping in our computers. So in our homes, in our kitchen, if you see in our refrigerator, you will find many of the items, they are staying since long time, although they have expired. So everywhere we need to maintain a good level of housekeeping. So housekeeping is not only the cleaning, it's a full methodology which we can apply. So for my clients, whenever I have the meeting for consultancy regarding health and safety, I used to suggest them that before starting working on other activities of safety, you should start with the 5S activity. So let's your team from each department, you can get trained on 5S methodology, and then for at least 1 quarter we will be working on the 5S. So after 3 months, after 4 months, you will find that the people who have made the drastic change in their facilities, they have made the very good level of housekeeping in their activities. So when we have good level of housekeeping, which means that there are many hazards which have been removed from our facility. So now the people, they are also connecting safety as sixth S. So when you will be searching on Google, you will be finding somewhere that instead of 5S, they are now considering 6S. So sixth S is basically safety. So after applying 5S, now our company is ready to apply the safety protocols. So this is a very good activity, and you can do monthly audits for housekeeping for 5S. There are number of checklists also available on the Google. You can take any of the checklists, for example, 5S audit checklist for stores, for warehouse, for workshops, uh, for the operations area, for the manufacturing companies. Many these kind of many checklists are available. So according to your need, for example, 5S activities for a construction site, so you can find many of the checklists, and just to start with something in the safety, you can initiate this in your company, and you will find that there is a lot of things which can be organized properly, which can be eliminated. But we are still having these issues, and that's why we are the chances of accidents, the more hazards are available at our sites, right? So just note this homework, and inshallah I will also mention it on the WhatsApp group. So tomorrow you will be having two activities of homework. One is you need to know what is 5S, and then also download some checklist of 5S according to your workplace, right? There will be number of checklists, but you need to develop the checklist according to your workplace. Those who are not working, so for example, those Khalid, like he is a student, so he can, as he can make the checklist of 5S according to the university. Okay, for example, Afra, she can make the 5S activity or 5S audit checklist for the laboratory, chemical laboratory. So those who are working in the companies, just write 10 points, and maybe you will find exact checklist which is needed for your workplace. But if you don't find, you can develop your own checklist. It's very easy. When you will be downloading 2-3 checklists as a reference, you can easily make your own checklist, right? Then we have aisles and passageways. There are certain definitions which we need to understand. There are certain terminologies which we need to understand clearly, which is uh, like floor hole. If the hole is less than 12 inches, but more than 1 inch, right? In our floor, if the hole is less than 12 inches, but more than 1 inch in our floor or platform or pavement or yard, through which the material cannot fall, the material can fall, but a person cannot fall. For example, if you can see this picture on your right hand side, the person is having this floor hole. When he is going to keep his foot on this hole, this person is not going to fall, right? This person could have a trip accident, but not the falling accident, because from 12 inches, at least we cannot fall from 12 inches. Okay, a small child, infant child can fall from 12 inches, but a human, adult person cannot fall from 12 inches. So floor hole can cause you trip, but a material can can be fall from here. For example, you can see the screwdriver, hammer, spanner, nuts, bolts, they can get fall from this floor hole. Then we have floor opening if it is more than 12 inches, and for example, a person who is going to get fall, then we call it a floor opening. For example, we have the drain channels, drain covers, pits, cable trays. If you have you seen that in companies we have these things available, so a person can fall. So these are called floor openings. If less than 12 inch, this is floor hole. If more than 12 inch, it's called floor opening. A platform. A platform is a working space for persons elevated above the surrounding floor or ground. For example, when you are going to install, for example, some bulb or some lighting, so you are going to use some ladder, right? But to be more safer, you can make some platform with the help of planks, with the help of some other material, and then you can perform your activity. When we are working on height, we are above the ground. The mandatory thing is that we are above the ground. So above the ground, which means that the platform is above the ground. For example, if you are living or if your office is on 10th floor, it doesn't mean that you are working at height. It's still because your platform 10th floor, you are safe, right? But in 10th floor, if you will be able to have a temporary platform, then it will be considered as a platform. And if the platform is more than 6 feet in height, then we need to use the full body harness. Uh, Fall protection, and if it is more than 10 feet height, then we need to use the full body harness. So platform is a temporary place where we are going to work, and it will be elevated from the normal ground. Then we have wall hole. Wall hole, if opening is less than 30 inches, for example, if there is a hole in the wall, so from where a person cannot fall from 30 inches of hole in the wall, but a person can fall if it is more than 30 inches in wide and 30 inches high and 18 inches in wide. So a person can fall easily. This is called wall opening. So in our companies, when we are discussing the technical terminologies, when we are using the technical terminologies, we need to use these kind of wording which is from the OSHA standard. So otherwise, even the floor hole, the hole which is on the floor is also a floor hole, the opening is also a floor hole, right, as far as the English language is concerned. But since we are going to have a professional qualification, so when we are using the terminologies, it should reflect that we have the technical information available about these terminologies. So floor hole less than 12 inch, floor opening more than 12 inches, wall hole less than 30 inches, and wall opening more than 30 inches, at least 30 inches in high and 18 inches in wide. So from the wall opening, a person can fall, but from a wall hole, a person is not going to be fall. Right? Any questions? Clear?
Clear, clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good. So protecting for floor openings. How we are going to protect the people from floor opening? What is floor opening? Remember, more than 12 inches, where a person can fall. So a standard railing consists of top rail, mid rail, and toe board. We need to install. For example, how much size should be the top rail? If you see here, this is our top rail, right? This is our ground. So from ground, 42 inches is our top rail. Because more than 30, a person can fall on the other side, right? So that's why we need to install the top rail so the person is not going to be fall. Then we have mid rail, because it is still more than 30, so there is a chance that those people who are working here, for example, they are doing the welding, cutting activities, or they are doing the painting activities, so they can fall from this height of 42 inch. So that's why we need to install one more rail. We call it mid rail. Mid rail is half of 42. Half of 42 is the mid rail, which is 21 inches, right? On 21 inches, now it is less than 13. So we can be sure that it's not going, a person is not going to be fall. But still there is a chance that if we have the mid rail, our spanner, nuts and bolts, hammer can get fall. So for this purpose, we are going to install a toe board. We call it toe board. Toe board is the 4 inches from the ground. or 4 inches from the platform. We are going to install here the toe board. The purpose of toe board, that it is not going to save the human, it is not for the safety of human, it is not going to stop a person from falling, but it is going to stop a person, a tool from falling. For example, if we have a spanner available on the platform or nuts and bolts, and when those people who are working on this platform, if they are going to hit the spanner, if they are working and by mistake, if the spanner or the hammer or the screwdriver is going to be fall from their hand, then it's going to be stopped by the toe board. Clear? Now imagine that you are working at 30 feet of height or the 50 feet of height, and there is a small 1-inch nut is going to be fall on someone's heads. So what do you think? What will be the impact on his head?
Correct.
Will open.
Head injury, sir.
Head injury, severe head injury, right? Because it will be coming from 50 feet height like a bullet.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So
Even a small nut can feel like that.
Exactly, small nut. I'm talking about a small nut also. So, and those people who are having less hair on their head like me, so they will have more impact. And those people who are wearing the helmets, Chinese helmets without inspection, what will happen with them? They will also have a severe impact. So we need to make sure that we have, whenever we are working on the platforms, we are having a standard railing which is 42 inches. We need to have a mid rail which is 41 inches, and we need to have a toe board which is 4 inches in height. Okay. If the floor hole, we cannot cover the floor hole, then a person must be available. For example, you are working near the drain channel, you are working on the drain channel, you are working on the confined space, you are working on the cable tray, pits. So in this case, you need to have a one person available near the floor hole who is going to keep an eye on those people who are working on this area. This person will not be the part of team who is performing the task on the floor hole or floor opening. He will be an independent person from this team, and his job is to support this team in case if they need, in case of emergency. Okay, so if they are not going to fall from height in case of any floor opening, and this person is going to inform them. Clear?
Yes,
Any
sir.
question? Yes, guys, available or sleeping?
Sir, what is
Yes, yes, sir, available.
Sir, available.
Sir, what
Maybe
is nominal height?
After eating biryani, mandi, you guys are now after Salatul Jummah, khalas, sleep. No.
Sir, what is this nominal height?
Which height?
Nominal height.
Nominal height, minimum height, minimum. Nominal means minimum.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Now we have the new requirement about the stairways and rail. When we are talking about stairways and railing, for example, this is our stairway, right? See, you can see also here, this is a top rail, a mid rail, and this is the toe board here, right?
The toe board is only on the left side, right? It's not on the right side.
Yeah. Yeah, here we can see this is the toe board. For example, this is our height. Okay, this is our platform. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So here we don't have any board available. If I'm going to install here 4-inch board, so this will be considered as our toe board, right? The toe board is basically with the height of toe, our foot toe, so this can be safe. It's not like here we will be having the top rail, then here we will have mid rail, and here we will have the toe board. So let's talk about stairways. Stairways, which are, there are different possibilities, there are different cases which we are going to discuss about stairways. Stairways less than 44 inches wide, less than 44 inches wide. Okay, having both sides enclosed. for example, on both sides there are walls, okay, and there in between there is stairway. So on one side we need to install the handrail. Remember our top rail, in case of stairways it becomes handrail. When it was on the platform, it was top rail, but now it became handrail because we are going to use it by means of hands. So that's why it becomes handrails. So stairways having less than 44 inches, and if the both sides are enclosed by means of wall or any other thing, then at least on one side we need to install the handrail. Why we need to install at one side handrail?
Because on the other side there is already a walls.
Even on the here we have the case that both sides we have the wall. So why we are going to install it, the handrail, even if both sides are closed? Hmm.
For
To save
support, sir.
Yes, guys,
to save ourselves from falling.
definitely to save ourselves from falling. Actually, see, in case of emergency, when the people who are working on this floor, when they will be coming together and they don't have anything, what is the possibility that they
They
can
fall
Or
also.
from the left side.
collide? Yes, they can collide, and then they can get fall. So if they have the handrail available, they will take the handrail and they can go very fast, right? But if there is no handrail, then they will all coming together, and due to the crowd they can fall on each other. So that's why we need to have one side, and ideally it should be on the right side. Okay, stairways less than 44 inches with one side open and one side closed. So definitely we are going to install on,
One.
yes, if one side open and one side closed, then on which side we are going to install?
Right side.
Right side.
Oh, the side which is open.
Yeah, which is more
Because
likely to fall from
if
left side
both sides
in
are
this case.
closed, then we will be installing on right side. But in case if there is no handrail on this side or either of this side, so the side which is open, which means there is more falling hazard. So
Yes,
we are
yes,
going to install the handrail which is open side
yes.
because the other side is already closed. On stairways less than 44 inches wide having both sides open. So if both sides open and it is not enclosed, then we need to install at least one side, right? Similarly, stairways more than 44 inches wide but less than 88 inch. One handrail shall be provided on each enclosed side. If it is very wide, right? If it is wide for more than 44 inches, then we need to provide the handrail on both sides. In simple words, we need to provide handrails on both sides. If it is an open side or if it is a closed side, because the surface area is very wide, might be possible that 2-3 persons will come together. So that's why when we have the wide stairs, which means that there are more people who are working on the floor. So that's why we are making it wide. So if it is more than 44 inches in wide, it might be possible 2-3-4 persons will come at the same time. So that's why we need to have the handrails on both sides. Similarly, if it's 88 inches or more in width, then one handrail shall be provided on each enclosed side and one in between. One in between. Have you seen in the malls when you have wide stairs nowadays? There is a concept of elevators, automatic elevators. So these are like 44 inches. But when we have the halls, when we have the malls, where you have to go on the upside, so the stairs are very wide. So in this case, if it is 88 inches or more than 88 inches, 88 inches means double of this. So when it is very wide, we need to have three handrails, two on the sides and one in the mid.
This is
Why?
44 inches.
Why we need to have one on the mid? What is the
To
benefit of it?
To protect ourselves from falling.
In
Caution
case of emergency,
Mhm. In case of emergency, what will happen?
it will be too crowded.
Very good. Because when we are having wide stairs, which means that many people are working on this platform or on this floor. So definitely in case of emergency, when they are coming down, there will be more crowd. So if it is wide, some people will be using this side, some people will be using other side, and then some people will be using the mid handrail, right?
Right.
Any question? Okay. Now we have fixed industrial stairs. In the fixed industrial stairs, always remember the safety protocols that fixed industrial stairs shall be strong enough to provide they can carry the load 5 times. For example, here we have a store, or here we have tanks farm. If you go in the areas where you will find like Aramco tanks or any other refineries tank, they have the stairs available, fixed stairs available. So there are normally 1%, 2% are going at a time, or maybe 3% for when it's a maintenance activity is going on. So whenever we have the fixed stairs, then they must carry a load of 5 times. For example, if 2% are working, then this stairs shall carry the minimum of 5 times load. Possibility of load should be 5 times. The capability for this stairways will be managing the load of minimum 5 times. Or if we don't have idea that how many people will be working, so as a thumb rule, we need to have minimum 1000 pounds, which is almost 470, 480 pounds, 480 kilo, right? So 1000 pounds we need to maintain the weight of this stairways, that this stairway shall carry the load of minimum 1000 pounds. All fixed stairs shall have a minimum width of 22 inches. The width of 22 inches. Fixed stairs shall be installed at an angle to the horizontal between 30 to 50 degrees. So this is our perpendicular 90, and with this could be a 30-degree minimum. 45 is the ideal. 45 is the ideal. For example, this one will be the 45. This is now 30, right? If I will cover from this pole, then it will be like that, 45 almost. But in this case, when we have 45 or 50 degree, the area occupied by the stairs will be too much, and sometimes you don't have much area. So minimum should be 30 and the maximum should be 50, the angle. Okay, clearance above any stair tread must be 7 feet. For example, if you are here, so on your height 7 feet shall be clear. If you are here, from here 7 feet shall be clear. If you are here, 7 feet shall be clear. From each tread must be, or each step, 7 feet in height must be clear, so you can go up easily and you can come down easily. Any question?
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now we have portable ladders. Okay, portable ladders. What are the portable ladders? There are various types of portable ladders available. Number one is the step ladder. You can see this step ladder, a self-supporting ladder. This is a self-supporting. No need for any other support. It has own steps. It has own hinges available, so it is going to be supported. Then we have single ladder. If we take it out from here, so this will be a single ladder which is being supported by the wall wherever you are going to work. Single ladder is a dangerous ladder as compared to the step ladder. And then we have the extension ladders. Extension ladders are those ladders which are being combined, two ladders combining together. Whenever we want to extend it up to more height, we can extend them up to more height, right? So these are our extension ladders. So extension ladders, when, for example, our normal height is like 6 feet of one ladder, and we need to work on 15, we need to work on 10 feet. So in this case, these can be extendable. So otherwise it will remain inside the normal ladder, and whenever it needs to be extended, it can be extended and we can work on more height. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Clear.
Good.
Yes,
So
sir.
now we need to discuss in our groups precautions for ladders and precautions for scaffold. Just open your books, take out chapter number 2, 3. You will find precautions for ladders and precautions for scaffold. Let me show you. Keep page number
15.
15,
Yes.
and 16, right?
Page number 15 and
Yes.
16.
There are many points, so you can just take out 5 important points like yesterday. Write in your own words. Okay. What you are going to do, I will divide you into groups. Just take out 5 important points and write in your own words. Don't copy paste from the book. From the book, you will read, but you will write in your, you can just write the keywords. No need to write the full sentence. Okay. And then you are
Okay,
going to
sir.
explain. Those persons who have already discussed yesterday or today, they will not be speaking this time. The other participants of the group, they will be speaking. Okay. For example, yesterday we had now we before in our last exercise, Ertiza has discussed, and from the other group, who discussed? Murtuza.
Yes.
So this time Murtuza and Irtiza, they can use their screen, but the discussion will be done by some other member. Okay. Understand? Have you take out the book? Page 15, 16. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, now I'm going to divide you into groups and we will have 6 minutes for this activity. At 4:50, we will take the feedback. Maximum 5 points we need to discuss. Okay.
Sir.
on ladder when you're going up or going down. Similarly, when you have single ladders, do not splice. It means that do not use the two single ladders to extend each other. For this purpose, you need to use the extendable ladder. If extendable ladders are not available, then you are going to use some other means. For example, you can use cherry picker, you can use a crane, you can use a forklift for this purpose to work on height. Have you seen many of the air conditioner this workshops? They when they are going to uninstall any of the air conditioner from second floor, from third floor, you will find many Pakistanis like that. They are splicing uh, more than one ladders together with the help of rope, and then
Yes, yes, yes.
they are going from the back side, and then they take out the AC of your home or from your office. So this is a very dangerous activity. It's a very unsafe act, right? We
Yeah.
need to avoid as much. Next group. Any question from ladders? Yes, guys. Can you share your screen?
Yes, Murtaza.
So who is going to explain?
Uh, I'm going to explain. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, please.
Yes. Ladder shall be placed
No,
with
no,
a
no,
secure
not the ladder. Scaffold, scaffold.
scaffold. The, the footing of anchor for scaffold shall be sound and rigged capable of carrying the maximum intended load without settling or displacement 4 times maximum intended load. The load of the foot of this scaffolding must be placed well, so in case of any shock or in case of wind they cannot fall down. That's why we have to maintain the footing in very good condition. And the second point is damaged or weakened scaffold shall be immediately repaired and shall not be used until repair and been completed. If in case our scaffolding is not in a good condition, we don't have to use it, because if we will use that damaged scaffold, if the one piece of scaffold make a problem, then our whole scaffolding can be fell down and it will cause a big loss or a big problem for us. And employees shall not work on scaffolding during storm or high winds or when covered with ice. Whenever there will be a storm or a wind which can make a problem for us, so we will stop our work and we will wait until the storm or wind stop, and after that we'll start work. Overheaded protection must be provided for personnel on scaffold exposed to overhead hazards.
Very good, excellent.
Okay,
Yes,
and
guys. Yeah, continue.
Proper access should be provided for worker. Safe being to board should be provided.
To board should be provided. Very good. Yes, guys, any point? And remember, in ladder and stairs, we discussed 5 times of load. But in scaffold, it's 4 times of intended load. Because
Yes.
on ladders and stairs, there will be very limited person. But in scaffold, it might be possible there are 20 workers, 30 workers are working at height. And designing of a scaffold is a full job. It's a technical field. It's not like anyone can do. There is a qualification like a scaffold erector, scaffold inspector, scaffold technician, supervisor. These are 3 international qualifications for the scaffold. So don't think that scaffold is an easy job, because the accident of the working at height, most of them are due to the scaffolding. So it's a very critical thing. We need to focus on a scaffold, right? Any question? Okay, guys, thank you. You can unshare the screen. So now we have.
Let's test your knowledge. Select the best priority order for these hazards abatement methods. How can we reduce the hazard? Which is the correct priority? Which is the correct sequence? Number A, administrative control, PPE, engineering control, PPE, administrative control, PPE, engineering control, and administrative control.
Donald Trump.
None of the above.
E, sir. None of the above, sir.
Very good. What is the exact control is what?
It's, sir, engineering control, administrative control.
Engineering.
Very good.
Then PPE.
PPE, your favorite.
Substitution.
PP is in the lab.
Engineering control, administrative control, then PP.
Exact. Very good. A scaffold designed for 75 pascals per square feet is considered as light duty scaffold. This is true or false? See, scaffold, we did not discuss this. I'm going to give you the information about that. The scaffold, which is 25 pascals per square feet. What is Pascal? Pascal is a unit of force. What is Pascal? Pascal is the unit of force. That yes. On 1 square feet, how much is the weight can be bear by the scaffold? Okay, this is called the light duty or medium duty or heavy duty. If 25 pascals of force can be bear by scaffold in 1 square feet, we call it light duty. If it is 50 pascals per square feet, we call it medium duty. If it is 75 and above pascals per square feet, we call it heavy duty scaffold. Have you seen there are cross too many, you will find too many barrels on the scaffold. Sometimes you'll find more. The more height you will go, the more barrels you are going to find. So yes. Because it depends on the design of a scaffold for how many persons on what height you have to work on it. Right? So 25 is the
light duty.
Light duty. Very good. 50 is the
medium
duty. And 75 pascals per square feet is the heavy duty. Very good. OSHA standard required a scaffold to be designed with 4:1 safety factor. Is it true or false?
Yes, true.
Yes, true.
Times.
Exactly, true. Very good. Let's have a video.
Construction workers die every year while on the job. Falls are the #1 cause of fatalities in construction. Falls cause 1 of every 3 construction worker deaths. These falls happen in a split second while workers are on roofs, scaffolds, ladders, bridges, and other work surfaces. But these deaths can be prevented. The video you're about to see shows how quickly falls at construction sites can lead to workers' deaths. The video will also show what employers must do so that the work can be done more safely. Employers have a responsibility to provide a safe workplace and required protective equipment. You'll see that using the right type of fall protection saves lives. Please be advised, the scenes you're about to see deal with deaths at construction sites and might be disturbing for some people. All scenes are based on true stories. A worker was installing vinyl siding on a 2-story townhome. He was standing on a ladder that was placed on top of a scaffold. A coworker was on the scaffold cutting pieces of siding. The scaffold had no guardrails. The workers were not wearing any fall protection. While standing on the top step of the ladder, the worker putting up siding overreached to one side, and the ladder overturned. He fell nearly 20 feet and landed on the driveway below. He died later that day from injuries caused by the fall. Let's look at the events leading up to this tragic incident and see how it could have been prevented. Originally, the worker installing siding was standing on a ladder that was placed on top of a scaffold. This is a very serious and dangerous OSHA violation. Also, there was no fall protection for these workers. OSHA requires employers to provide workers with fall protection when they're working on scaffolds more than 10 feet above a lower level. Let's look again at the worker installing siding. But now, the worker is standing on a fully decked pump jack scaffold. It has guardrails at the top, middle, and ends. So instead of being at risk from falling while installing siding, this worker is now protected from fall hazards. This example shows the importance of employers following OSHA's fall protection.
Can you see top rail, mid rail? And here, this one is also toe board.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now it's clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Standards to ensure that workers are provided with a safe workplace. These types of construction deaths are preventable. The fall protection measures shown here save workers' lives. Use fall protection on the job. It could be the difference between life and death.
It could be the difference between life and death. So guys, take it seriously. Okay. So shall we continue with our next topic or take 5 minutes break?
Sir, continue.
Good. This is what commitment I need from you guys.
Sir, if you want 5 minutes break, you can take.
No, for me, no problem. Break.
Sir, I shared one picture on WhatsApp group of one of the site inspection. Yes, you can see clearly the workers.
They are mashallah commando.
They're without safety harness and without lifelines.
Yes. Can you see the screen? No. Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can
guys.
see it now.
Clear. Let's start our next module, which is one of the lengthiest module in this course. And after module number 4, the other remaining modules are relevantly short as compared to 4. After 4, so inshallah we will try to finish today 4th module, inshallah. But if we will not be able to finish by 6:30, then no problem. We can continue tomorrow. So tomorrow time 6 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Evening, not morning. Let's discuss about exit routes, fire safety, fire prevention, okay, FPP, fire prevention plan, and there is also one topic, EAP, emergency action plan. So what is exit? What do you think, exit?
It's place to go when the
It notifies the exit of the building.
Okay.
Emergency
See,
exit.
when we talk about exit, OSHA defines exit as a continuous and unobstructed path. So when you are following the exit route and after having the exit, after crossing the exit, then you will be feeling safe, right? Within the exit, for example, there is an emergency where you are under now emergency situation. So when you will be crossing the exit, so you are now at the safe location, at the safe position. So you will be feeling safe. We in our terminologies, generally we used to call it emergency exit. But OSHA standard does not make, a difference between emergency exit and exit. Whenever you will see the word of exit in OSHA standard, it means emergency exit. Right? Don't get confused with this. So exit consists of 3 parts: exit access, exit itself, and exit discharge. So exit access is the area or the portion from where you are going towards exit. For example, it could be your stairways, be your walkway, it could be any other way from where which is directly going towards the exit axis. Okay, so this is our exit axis. Then we have exit portion. Exit portion is basically our emergency exit, right? Exit portion is our emergency exit. So emergency exit is what? From where it's the door of emergency which we are going to cross. This is the protection between the safe and unsafe area. And exit discharge is the part of exit route that leads directly outside to a street or walkway or a refuge area, public way or open space. So most of the time when we are going out from our exit portion, we are now at exit discharge, and after exit discharge most of the time we are going towards our assembly point, right? Do you have assembly point in your companies? Assembly point or assembly area or muster point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So what is the purpose of emergency assembly point?
So in case of emergency, we can gather there.
Very good, very good. In case of emergency, we will be using our emergency exit, and then we will be reaching towards our assembly point where there are some other processes which are going to be take place. So good. Is it clear? Exit route, exit access. Exit route consists of three parts: exit access, the area from where you are going towards emergency exit, then exit portion, which means the door of the emergency exit, and then exit discharge, which is outside the door, which is the area where we are feeling safe, and then after exit discharge we will be going towards emergency exit, or if there is no emergency towards assembly point, and if there is no assembly point, then no problem. Okay. What is the requirement of OSHA standard? At least two exits route must be available in the workplace to permit prompt evacuation. Two exit routes. Remember, I told you that they don't use the terminology of emergency exit, they just use the terminology of exit. So you can use one exit as a normal exit and one exit as an emergency exit. It's up to you. But normally OSHA requires that you should have two exits available. But these exits should be far as much as possible. For example, you have in one room or in one corridor, you have four walls, right? In one area, we have four walls. So if you are going to make two exits on the same side of the wall, useless. Because if the fire is at one emergency exit, then you can use the second emergency exit to go away from this area or to go away from the exit. But if you are having the exits, both exits on one side of the wall, then it will be useless, because you cannot use the first one, you cannot use the second one to get evacuated from there, right? A single exit route is permitted where the number of employees, the size of building in occupancy, or the arrangement of the workplace is such that employees should be able to evacuate easily in case of emergency. For example, if you have less number of employees or less number of people who are working in the area, but the area is large enough, so the employees can evacuate easily. So in this case, one emergency exit or one exit is allowed. For example, normally when we have more than 25 people, we need to have one exit, two exits available. But if the area is large enough, the occupancy, the people who are working here, they are less and the area is more, right? And the people can evacuate easily. In this case, one exit is also enough. Now there are some requirements for the exit. Building maintains to provide free and unobstructed. You can see here in the picture, it must be unobstructed. There should be no hindrance. There should be no, I can show you. There should be no hurdle like these gardens.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes, yes. So sometimes we have cartons available, sometimes we have pallets available, sometimes we have some other material available. When we are going to perform the audit, most of the time I ask the companies why you have these pallets available. So they say, sir, it just came from the supplier, or it is only a temporary area and then we will store them into the warehouse. So if it is a temporary or if it is a permanent, your emergency exit, your emergency access, your emergency discharge shall always be clear, because you don't know when the emergency is going to be happen, right? So the emergency exit or the access should be clear, unobstructed. No dustbin, no pots, no packages, no pallets. Anything is not allowed in the access and also in front of the emergency exit. No lock or fastening to prevent free escape. Only where it's allowed. You can see here most of the emergency exits nowadays, which are recommended by our also Difa Al Madni civil defense, they are only one side open. So from here, these are push bar. When you are going to push this bar, then they are going to be open only. From the outside, nobody can open. Exactly. Okay. So you can make the lock your exits only at if in the hospital, right? For example, in a mental panel where the treatment is going to be carried out for those people who are mentally retarded, or in the recreational. For example, there are drug addicts. Have you seen those people who are drug addicts? I don't know from where they get too much power.
They will try to escape.
Yes, they are always trying to escape. Even they can handle 5-6 people at one time, no problem. This is what we have seen in the films only. I don't know in real, is it possible or no? I never tried. So in those areas where we have the mentally retarded people are working, where we have the drug addict recreational places are there. So definitely in this case, we need to lock them, because they can go, they can run away, or also in the jails, for example, they can run away. So in these cases, we can lock, but as required by the standard OSHA, the key must be available to the duty supervisor, right? It will not be in the pockets of the duty supervisor, rather it will be available in one place where all the duty supervisors, they will be knowing that this is the key or this is the area where the key is available. So whoever is the duty supervisor, he will be knowing this area, and in case of emergency, they can open and they can unlock it. Clear?
Yes,
Clear.
sir.
Good. Sometimes I used to go to the audits and I asked them why you have locked the emergency. They said that, sir, our department is very big. So when supervisor is busy in some other task, the workers go out and then they make a smoke and then they come back. Sometimes they go out and they are talking, they are sleeping for half an hour and then come back. So that's why we lock the emergency exit. But now it's a rule in Saudi Arabia that emergency exit shall be opening only from the inside, and sometimes they are also being connected with the alarm, right? So if anyone is opening the emergency exit, there will be alarm in the department, so they will know that the emergency exit is open. Exit discharge must lead directly to outside or to an area, walkway, refuge area, public way, or open space with access to outside. Whenever we are going to have the emergency discharge, then as I told you that this is the area from where we should feel that we are safe. For example, you can see that this is our exit access. These are our offices. For example, these are our workshops. So from where, whenever you are going to take discharge from the exit, which means that now you are safe. Now you are outside the area. Clear? Exit maintenance. Every required exit way to approach there to, again the same thing, that must not be crowded, must not be unobstructed. It must be unobstructed. It must not be covered with many things. Okay, all the time this must be clear. If it's a temporary or even if it's a permanent, We need to avoid these kind of obstruction as much as possible. Otherwise, it's not a mistake in terms of safety, in terms of in terms of emergency. We consider this as a crime. To lock or to block the emergency exit, it's a crime, because you don't know when the emergency situation can arrive, and then if the people are stuck inside, then there is a lot of losses for the lives. And these kind of accidents have occurred many times, and they are still occurring many times, that the emergency exit is locked, so people will not be able to go out, because these are the areas where nobody goes, where they think that nobody is allowing to go here, so no need for maintenance. So sometimes they are having garbage there. Sometimes you will get the fire in front of your emergency exit due to the irrelevant stuff which is being stored near your emergency exit. As I told you, a single hinge door, push bar door, we also call it push bar door, which can open from only inside, is required nowadays by the Difal Madni to have this. But if you have more than 50 employees, less than 50 employees, then no problem, you can install the normal door. It is a requirement of OSHA, but not the requirement of our Difal Madni. Exit routes must support the maximum permitted occupant load for each floor, sir. See, 88 inches, remember? Now we have 3.
Yes, sir. We have 3 rails, sir.
Because maybe there is one stairs, and it might be possible here is also one stair. So the people will be coming from these stairs, the people will be coming from these stairs. So the load of these stairs or the access shall be capable of the people who are working on the upside to bear their load. It might be possible that 100 people, it's a hotel, so more than 100 or 200 people are on the second floor. When they are coming for evacuation, if these exit access, it's a corridor, or if it's a stairs, they are not be able to bear, then what will happen? That all will be falling. The capacity of an exit route may not decrease in any direction. From the top, okay, from the top, it was very wide, but when it reaches to the exit, it becomes very narrow. So these kind of designing is not allowed. If it is wide from the top, then it must be wide up to the exit. The ceiling at least 7 feet in height. See, the size of emergency exit must be 6 feet and 8 inches. Sometimes this kind of information they are asking in the interview. For example, if we need to install the emergency exit, what should be the height of emergency exit? So as required by OSHA, it's 6 feet 8 inches. And the access towards the emergency exit shall be 7.5 feet, right? 7.5 feet from everywhere, So exit and exit access must be at least 28 inches wide at all the points. So exit access, if it is a stair, it's corridor, whatever it is, it must be more than 28 inches in wide. Clear?
Sir,
Yes,
how
sir.
much this is
Yes.
in mm? 28 inches.
28 inches minimum.
How much is it in centimeter, millimeter?
यार convert कर लो ना यार. Okay. Now it's a very important thing that now give me one idea about what do you think, when is the best time to apply OSHA standard in the companies?
Start of the project, sir.
Very good. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. To the point. Not only at the start of a project, at the time of designing. Because once the company is being designed, it is being approved, and then you are going to start the project. Now company has hired you as a safety manager, and they will ask you, okay, yalla, let's apply the OSHA standard in our company and make our company safe. You cannot take out their stairs now. You cannot, break the wall, 1 or 2 walls to make the emergency exit. When you will be proposed your plan according to the OSHA requirement, the company will say that to replace this door with an emergency door, is very expensive for us, rather than we can replace you with another employee.
Yes, sir.
Right? So my cousin who is in States, is a also is a structural engineer, mashallah. So he told that when he was here for last year for the Umrah, I was discussing with him that the requirements of OSHA. He told me, why you are teaching OSHA here? So I told it's a very popular standard and it has demand in the industries, because here companies they follow the OSHA standard. So he told me, Anas, whenever I'm going in any of the site, according to the requirement of OSHA, I have to get the training. And every 6 months, I have to take the refresher. Because as far as my work is concerned, he's a project manager. So sometimes he used to go. Otherwise, most of the time he is doing the projects on computer, because he's a structural engineer. He's not the civil engineer. He's a structural engineer. So, and then sometimes they have to go on site. So he told me that before entering on the site, I have to show them the cards that I am qualified. I have this training available, and then they are going to allow me to enter in the site. So you can see that here also. Let me give you one update. Here also, the Difal Madni is require you to have your design pass from Difal Madni, and this will be done by the NFPA approved inspector. So, which is a very good thing. So that's why here also the buildings which are going to be designed, most of the time, those which are new buildings, they are meeting the requirement of standards. They are meeting the requirement of OSHA. They are meeting the requirement of our NFPA standards. Good. Okay. Any of the objects, for example, pallet, mop, fire extinguisher, must not be in the axis of emergency exit. You can see the company has made the walkway. They declare this area as a access to emergency exit, which is going towards emergency exit. But these kind of things are not allowed in our emergency exit access. Sometimes we are going to keep the flammable material in front of emergency exit. So if there is a fire in this flammable material, the fire will be definitely in front of emergency exit. Then you will not be able to go out. So we have to be very careful that if we are going to store flammable material, sometimes in our labs, sometimes our stores, we are going to keep the chemicals which we are going to store. They must be away from the emergency exit. Clear? Exit routes, when we have, for example, I have seen in some companies they have celebrated the Yom Al Watni, right? And they have put the flags and other celebration ribbons, everything, and then the exit sign is block. You cannot see the important information. So these kind of activities are not allowed. The exit shall be plainly written, no designing, no calibri font or no other font. Just in Arial font, you need to write exit in a plain language. So everyone, they are going to see, they can understand that this is an emergency exit. Yes, sometimes these are some pictures, real-time pictures of a company where when you are standing here on this floor, you can't see the emergency exit. So in this case, what we need to do, we need to install the directional signs. We need to have the area walkway available, which is leading towards emergency exit. Sometimes companies, they make the walkway. Sometimes companies, they install the signs, direction signs, that right side, here is the emergency exit. Left side, here is the emergency exit. So because the machinery, the plant is more than your height, so you cannot see behind the plant, behind the machinery. So in this case, we need to install the directional signs, so the area or the exit shall be clear, and the access towards the emergency exit shall always be clear. Sometimes it happened that the company has started their business, and with the passage of time, after 3, 4, 5 years, the staff has increased. So they are going to change the design. They are going to make new rooms and offices. So in this case, what they have done, that the emergency exit, which was initially an emergency exit, they have replaced this emergency exit with other exit. So what about those people who are working in the company since long time? In their mind, still they have this emergency exit available. So in case of emergency, they are going to use the old door, which is no more emergency exit. Maybe it's an office now. So in this case, we need to write a clear notice on our emergency exit that this is no more emergency exit. So at the same time, we need to also make the drills. We need to make the awareness session for the people where we are going to update them that where is the emergency exit. Right? Clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The exit sign must be illuminated to a surface value at least 54 lux by a reliable light source. What do you mean by reliable light source?
LED.
LED. Okay. Reliable light. Reliable light is the LED. I'm asking about reliable light source.
Emergency fog light. Sometimes they plant it above exit. So if some emergency happens, it will immediately.
It's not about light. It's about, I'm asking about light, source of light. What could be the reliable source of light? There is one source of light is our Saudi Kaharba, right? Which is coming from Saudi electricity.
It is AC and we need DC.
Always remember when we are dealing with emergency, which means that we are working now without electricity. So what is the alternate setup?
There is
Whenever you will
a
have
reflector on the
No.
exit sign.
There's battery backup 3 to
very good battery operated or UPS operated. These are the reliable source, alternative source, because whenever you will have emergency in your company, whenever there is a fire, so the first thing after evacuation you are going to do is to turn off the lights and the electricity. You are going to power off the electricity, because if the electricity is still energized, which means there are chances of more losses, right? In terms of fire, in terms of current, the electricity itself is a very hazard, and in case of hazardous situation it becomes more hazardous. So our normal light will be the first source or the primary source. As also required, our Difal Madni also requires you to have an alternate source available for the emergency exit sign and emergency access, right? So the people who are working in this area, they can evacuate easily. This 54 lux is a very small lightning, it's like more than a night bulb. So at least you can see the path and you can go out of this area, right? The word exit in plainly language, legible language, not lesser than 6 inches. The letter will be 3 by 4 inch thickness. I mean, this is a normal sign which you can see in the picture also. This we have installed in our companies all the time. Clear?
Clear, sir.
No mushkila?
No mushkila,
I
sir.
think so. Here, the fire safety it is that it should be in Arabic and it should be in green in color instead of red.
See, green color is not a problem, but yes, they require to have in Arabic and English both. Also, same thing with the fire extinguisher. The file bandi requires you to have the instructions available in English and Arabic, and I think it's much better that you should have in the both language, because when you have the multinational employees working in the companies, so it should be available in the most commonly languages, available languages.
We have in three languages, sir. Urdu also.
Third one is the
Urdu one, sir.
Urdu. Okay,
Yes, in
good,
Urdu.
good. Thank you for giving respect to Urdu.
That's possible.
Okay, so what should be the material of our emergency exit doors? This is also very common that when you ask a vendor, a supplier, that we need the emergency exit. So we need the emergency exit. So the question he is going to ask you, okay, sir, for how much time fire resistant or heat resistant doors you need? Okay. So if you are working in a company having 3 or less than 3 floors, in this case, 1 hour of fire resistant door is enough. But if you are working
in a building having 3 or
In
more floor, right? 4 or more stories, then you need to have a 2 hours of fire resistance.
it started to become minimum rating is 2 hour in Saudi Arabia.
Really?
Yeah, because all of our projects, everyone is in their design, they're saying it's a requirement for 2 hour.
Good. This is a new
We
information.
started to install 2 hour fire resistant aluminum.
Anyway, it's industrial. That's why industrial projects.
Could be about industrials.
Housing project, it will be 1 hour.
Good, good, good. Okay, guys. Any question? Okay. So our next topic is emergency action plan. Emergency action plan, I will be giving you some examples as well. See, what is emergency? First, we need to understand emergency. What is emergency?
Any kind of a situation in our workplace that we have to then evacuate the workplace.
Any kind of situation at your workplace?
Yes.
Then
so we have to evacuate the workplace.
you have to evacuate. Okay, so this will be an emergency. Okay, good, good. Any other? Khalid, what do you think by emergency? Tawari?
Yes. So emergency, maybe that's something happen, make the employees in the dangers and the risk for the emergency.
So this will be an accident if the employees will be.
Yes. Have an
Accident and emergency is different. Yes, any other? Amanat, what do you think about emergency?
Emergency इमरजेंसी मतलब जरूरी जो चीज है ना उसको उसको बोलते हैं इमरजेंसी.
अच्छा, सही सही सही. Okay, in one of the training I asked participant, what do you think by emergency? So the participant, one of the participant, he replied, go away. Right? When you heard the word emergency, yalla, let's run away or go away. So when an emergency is an unplanned event, right? Emergency is an unplanned event, which is the higher form of accident. In accident, it might be possible that one person is going to have effect, right? But in emergency, there is a possibility that many persons are going to have effect. So that's why we are always going away from the site whenever there is an emergency. As our friend told, that in case of emergency, emergency is a situation where you have to evacuate from the area. And always remember, emergency will not be planned. Emergency is an unplanned event, right? It can come anytime. That's why we have to prepare. Sometimes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you don't have any emergency, but sometimes it will come one time and you will have a lot of losses if you are not well prepared. Have you seen that there are offices of Difal Madni where there are many fire tenders are available, fire trucks are available, but maybe they are being used once or twice in a year, but they have to be available, they have to be ready all the time. Similarly, in our companies, we have fire extinguishers, fire hydrants. Maybe for 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, we are not going to use them, but it's a requirement. So because it can come anytime, emergency can come anytime. And fire is not the only emergencies. There are many emergencies which are possible according to your scope of work, right? According to your scope of work, many kind of emergencies are possible. So emergency action plan is required by the OSHA. Whenever you have 10 or more than 10 employees in your company, you need to have a documented, when you need to have a documented emergency plan, you need to communicate it by means of a training, right? If you have less than 10 employees, then it could be communicated orally. You will just explain them, make them the awareness, no problem. But when you have more employees, then it must be a documented plan. Similarly, it must be communicated and you need to make the record available for this document. So there are 4 elements of emergency action plan. The first pillar is the plan itself. The first thing what we need to do when we are going to design our emergency action plan, that we need to identify all possible emergencies. What we need to do? We need to identify all possible emergencies. For example, in one company, other than fire, what could be the other emergencies are possible?
Dangerous gases releases.
Very good. Dangerous or hazardous gas release, for example, H2S, ammonia.
Yes,
Short
where
circuit.
Short circuit somehow. What else? Yes, construction site. What are the emergencies possible? Construction. Murtaza, you are working in construction.
It says in construction. I'm in
Yeah, it is. It is.
consulting.
So maybe a
Yes,
use.
Afra. In the laboratory, what kind of emergencies are possible?
Spilling of chemicals.
Very good. Chemical spillage is one kind of emergency. Also, leakage of gases. You are using different hazardous gases in different equipments or also for the testing purposes. So the leakage of gas could cause a trouble for the people who are working in the in the laboratory.
Yeah.
Then we have, for example, if we are working at construction, falling of load from the height, right? Because cranes are
Yes.
operating, so falling of
Yeah.
load is possible. When I
Sometimes
was, yeah,
there's heavy rains. When there was very
exactly,
heavy
those
rains, we had a
companies,
huge problem because our
exactly,
school was getting flooded.
exactly, very good. Sometimes when we are having not only the rains but also high wind could be an
High
emergency. When
winds,
we have a very
sandstorm.
good
Yeah.
example of our Makkah accident, remember,
Yeah.
where the
Yes.
Bin Laden cranes were fallen.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, yes.
these kind of emergencies are possible. uh, I'll tell you one one experience. I went in one of the companies in Riyadh. It was a very good company, food company. I did their documentation for the auditing for the 45,000 standard health and safety, and I saw their emergency action plan. And when I saw this, I found it very weird. I mean, I was confused why they have identified too many emergencies, although they are a food company only. So I asked him, "Do you have this emergency in your company?" He said, "No." When I asked again, "Do you have this S2S leakage in your company?" He says, "No." Then I asked him, "Why you have put in this plan?" He told, "No, just maybe possible." So we have identified all the possible. Sometimes the companies, they copy paste the procedures from Google or from some other companies. So after the audit, when that guy he came out to drop me to the gate, I asked him, "Okay, why you have put this too many emergencies in? Now the audit is over. Just share with me." So he told, "Actually, sir, we have copy paste the procedure from Petro Rabigh. So those emergencies which are in Petro Rabigh, these are all we have made it for ourselves. So it is not possible that every kind of company or every kind of sites they have the same emergencies. The first thing, you need to identify the possible emergencies according to your site, according to your need, right? For example, those companies who are having a cold storage, they have the emergency of ammonia because they are using ammonia as a coolant to make the cooling for their cold storage room. So in those companies, ammonia leakage is one of the emergency. But on construction side, there is no ammonia needed for to have the for the cooling purpose. There is no ammonia is using for the cooling purpose. So we need to identify the emergencies according to our scope of work. Okay. Now you have identified the emergencies, possible emergencies. After that, you need to prepare. What you need to prepare? You need to develop an action plan. You need to that who will be responsible for the evacuation, who are our evacuation team, who is our rescue team, who is our firefighting team, who is our first aid team. We need to define these all things in our emergency evacuation plan. Then after preparing, then how we are going to respond in case of emergency, where are the people going to be reached, who is the person who will be calling the firefighting difal madni from outside, who is the person who will be calling emergency ambulance at that time, These all roles shall be clearly defined in our emergency action plan, because when we are working in a companies, all the employees are not authorized to contact outside agencies. For example, if you are an employee of a company, your job is to, whenever there is an emergency, just to inform within your company who are the relevant people. For example, the safety department. If safety department is not available, you are going to inform security department, right? It's not your responsibility to call the ambulance or to call the fire brigade. It is their responsibility. So we need to define these role very clearly, that how we are going to respond on this emergency, and then resume that who is the person or who is the responsible person who is going to announce that okay, now we are at assembly point, but after 15 minutes the emergency is over, now you can go to your places again, or the emergency is going to be increase more, so we need to evacuate from the company and we will be going out. And when we are going to resume our operations, how we are going to start the operations. Okay, it might be possible there are certain machines or the plants which you cannot shut down directly. There will be lot of losses will be there. So in this case, who are the technical or persons who will be staying inside just to make these all controls off, critical controls off, and while the other will be evacuating. So these are all the components of our emergency action plan: plan, prepare, respond, and resume. And this must be documented. This must be documented. Okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
homework for tomorrow:
Yes,
prepare
sir.
an emergency exit plan for your home. Is it possible to prepare an emergency exit plan for your home, wherever you are living? If it's a accommodation, combined accommodation, or it's a home, or is an apartment, whatever it is. So
So
you
we
can see.
live in an apartment, and I think the stairs is the only emergency exit we have.
No, this is the one of the part of. Can you
Part.
see this plan?
Yeah, yeah.
What will be emergency numbers? What you need to do in case of fire? What is the evacuation procedures? Right? Where are you going to identify that? Where will be your emergency assembly point? For example, you are living 2 3 4 people in one building, so one of you will be assigning as first aider, one of you will be the rescue team member, one of you will be the firefighter. So just to make yourself more safer, just on one paper, just write those things. No need to draw this thing. Okay, I know you cannot do with the limited time. So at least with this activity, if you are going to have you been in the hotels? If you see the hotels, in each room you will find the evacuation plan, right? So similarly, you can have this in your home, that in case of emergency, from where we have to evacuate, from where there, what are the numbers for fire, ambulance, police, and what is the procedure for evacuation, and where is our assembly point, right? Just only write this information. If you are going to search on Google about emergency action plan, you will find too many emergency action plan, and this one is one of the most simplest emergency action plan. So you can develop like that. Okay, if you want to do this for your company, you can do for your company. It's up to you. I mean, I don't want to put you involved in too much time. Just my purpose of giving this assignment is to have an idea that how we can develop the emergency evacuation emergency action plan for our home, for our company. Definitely, it's not the requirement for our home. When we are dealing with OSHA standard for general industry, we are discussing about the companies. Similarly, you need to identify 3 hazards from your own place, from your own home, and you need to suggest the control measures. Just take the picture and share in the group or share with me in private message 3 hazards of your home, right? And then which each hazard, don't use the form, don't waste your time. Just with 3 hazards, what are the controls do you suggest? Right? Is it easy?
So, for example, in our home, one of them is a gas. So what's the counter for gas? I don't know. We can switch off the gas knob.
This is you have to
You switch off the gas cylinder.
The
You turn.
control measure, or
You
see
switch off. You turn the knob off.
that's the only solution, right? Or
that's the only solution. Then how you are going to cook
night before sleeping? I mean, before sleeping.
this? This is one of the control, right? This is one of the control. The first control is to have the good quality
Gas stove.
valve available, the valve which is on your cylinder. If it
Yes,
is
yes.
leak, if it is a bad quality, then there is a lot of chance that it is going to have gas leakage, or it could also be causing the blast. Then the pipe, which is a rubber pipe which is going to the stoves, this must be also be in a good condition, right? Whenever we are going to use our stove, after that we need to turn off the gas cylinder. When we are using the stoves, then next to this gas pipe there must not be any of the hot material, or like you have cooked something in the pots and you are going to keep near to the pipe, so this pipe is going to be melt because it is made up of rubber.
Rubber.
Although it is not very sensitive, mashallah, it's heavy duty, but still we need to have this practice. Similarly, we need to provide awareness to our home mates. For example, if you are having family, or if you are having some other friends with you, that what to do in case of fire. If there is a gas leakage, right, in from your cylinder, if there is a gas leakage from your cylinder, then you need to do this. You need to put a wet cloth on the gas cylinder, right? If there is a fire on the gas cylinder, then you need to put the fire blanket on the gas cylinder. You need to put the fire blanket on the stove, right? So these are some of the controls which are possible. Alhamdulillah, last year I realized this hazard, and I took a small fire extinguisher and a fire blanket for my home, and then I taught my wife how to use it. So these are some of the small contributions which we can make for our home, to make our home a safer home. Because when we are out at work, the female, they are available, they are alone. So who is going to help them, right? So they should know these basic things. So can you identify 3 hazards from your home?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Some of you will
Yes,
be
sir.
hesitating for identifying the hazards. If you are like me, you will be hesitating, because if I will be identifying the hazard, I am the one who has to apply the control.
Yeah.
Right? So I will avoid it. But no problem. We can at least identify the controls. So maybe after 1 week, after 1 month, whenever we will get the time, we can apply the controls on.
Sir, most homes in the USA, they have the emergency fire ladder at their windows and balconies.
Exactly.
But we don't have it here in Saudi Arabia. Maybe in
No
some
problem.
hotels and 5-star hotels.
Furnish apartments, you will find in
Yeah.
furnished apartments, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels, you will find it. But in our, like, we are living in a building, so there is no such detectors available. Anyway, so next topic, let's complete it as much. I hope inshallah by 6:30 we will be able to finish it. Assembly point. What is assembly point, guys? Assembly point.
So during an emergency, when you hear an alarm or something, we are all supposed to assemble at the assembly point.
Very good.
In an emergency, or maybe fire or
Very
something.
good. Emergency, or as in case of emergency, when we are going out from our exit discharge, we are going towards assembly point. Now, as required by our Defalbandi also, it is a mandatory requirement for each building to have the assembly point available. For each hotel, it's a mandatory requirement. For each company, it's a mandatory requirement to have a assembly point. Assembly point is a very important thing. And another important thing is to design the assembly point, where we need to have the assembly point available. What should be the location of assembly point? What do you think?
somewhere away from the exit, the entrance or the places like
Parking lot
parking
is
lot,
also okay.
Parking lot, okay, away
because we
from the
don't
building.
away from the building, because we don't want the fire emergency vehicles to be blocked by the assembly point and all the people around it.
Very good. Yes, Khalid, have you seen emergency assembly point anywhere?
Yes, in our university there is assembly point with if there is emergency with a student or the people come
At
keep in
this point.
this place. Yeah, in this
Very good. Very good. Very good. Yes, Efra, do you have experience of assembly point before?
Yeah, when I used to study in the US, we had assembly points in the university.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So assembly point is basically, as you told, that assembly point is the area where we have to report in case of any emergency, and then it, as part as our EAP, emergency evacuation plan, is considered, this is our resume part. So from here we will be getting more instructions if we have to go away or if we have to resume our operations. And there will be an assembly point commander, right? There will be an emergency assembly point commander. Some companies, they have a point. He is the person basically who is going to make the attendance, who makes sure that the people who have come today in the company, they are all available at the assembly point. Sometimes in companies we have seen that the people, they become very lazy in case of evacuation, because sometimes it is due to the false alarm, sometimes due to the dust, due to the high wind, the companies, the department, they get false alarm. So they become
Yeah.
used to a false alarm, and in case of real alarm, when there's a real emergency, they don't evacuate. They think that it's a false alarm. Sometimes we have seen that the companies, they don't have a good communication system. So those employees who are new, or the contractors or the transporters who have arrived inside the facility, they don't know what to do when there is a siren. So they think, I went in one of the company where they have the same alarm for the tea break, and they have same alarm for the emergency. So I asked them what to do. I asked him how you are going to recognize that it's a tea break time, or it's a lunch break time, or it's a emergency. They say that our people, they know that if it is 10 o'clock, which means it's a tea break. If it is 12 o'clock, which means it's a lunch time. When it's
Yeah.
3 o'clock, which means it's the end of shift. So I told that if the emergency will happen at 10 o'clock, then so we need to have a distinguishing between the alarm and the sounds. So assembly area is very important to locate. How to locate the assembly area is another thing. See, we need to locate assembly area by noting the direction of wind. By noting the direction of wind. For example, if we have the wind from north to south in our area, then assembly point shall not be in the direction of wind, because if there is a fire, if there is a gas leakage, and the gas is going from north to south, and your assembly area is also at the south position, then what will happen? What will happen?
The the fire is able to go on the assembly point area.
Exactly. And then you will not be safe, because the
Yes.
purpose of assembly point is to make sure that you are safe. So if
They
the
can
wind,
assign another assembly point also.
yes, they
Assembly
can.
point
There
number
is a
one, two.
possibility that if the companies are big, or if the area is big, you can have more than one assembly point, no problem. But those people who are required to report in this assembly point, they must know that which one is my assembly point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will cause a trouble when they will be taking the attendance. For example, Mr. Murtaza is required to available at assembly point A, and Mr. Irtiza is required to be available at B, and both are available at B. Then the people who are at A, they will be in under panic, and they will be, they will be surprised that why this person is not evacuated. So we need to be very careful in our assembly point system. So that's why, have you seen in the large buildings or in the open areas, there is a orange balloon? We call it winged socks. What we call? wind socks. On the airport, you will find wind socks. In the open
Yeah,
area, in the
yeah, yeah.
refineries, you will find
To
wind
know
socks.
the wind direction and pressure.
Exactly. That's why we are installing the wind socks to know the direction of wind. So if the wind, when we know the direction of wind, then we need to evacuate in the opposite direction so we can avoid the exposure with the gas or the fire, whatever the emergency is there. Clear?
Clear, clear.
Nowadays, another problem which we have seen during the assembly points, that the attendance of the employees are with basma. They make fingerprint, right? And this fingerprint record is going in some computer of admin department or HR department. So to take out this record in within seconds or within minutes, sometimes it gets difficult because the admin officer who is responsible for taking out this record, he is still late or he is on the vacation, so his computer is shut down. So how you are going to take? Before, in the old times, when we have the attendance register available on the gates, or when we have the card punching system, so the on the machine, the security people, they can see that in the register how many people have come, and they can do the roll call easily. But now when we have the basma system, this thing has become difficult. So we need to also consider this point when we are going to develop our emergency evacuation plan, that how we are going to count the people. We don't know that many of the people, they have bisma, many of the workers, they are contractual, so they are being, the attendance for them is being taken by the contractor himself. Many of the people are, for example, visitors, suppliers, so their attendance is available on the gate. So to take out all these data is very important in order to make sure that the people are available at the assembly point. Clear?
Yes.
Any problem?
So,
No problem. Okay. What is fire? Fire. In Arabic, we call it harik.
Harik, no, yes.
Harik.
I think it's action between the oxygen and some materials.
fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Yes, harik.
yes.
Sometimes I get confused when I'm going to Albek or Tazij, harik and harag.
Harak is
Right? Harag
spicy.
is spicy. Yes. Now
Yeah.
I'm learning something. Like harag is spicy because Asians, they like harag. So okay, so our fire is basically, in Arabic we also call it nar.
No, yes.
Yes.
Nar is more sophisticated. Nar is more sophisticated, or harik?
Nar,
No,
nar is
no.
like a light,
Yes.
but harig is like a bigger light, a bigger fire. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Or uncontrolled fire.
Yes.
Uncontrolled fire is harik.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when there is a discussion in Quran, may Allah protect us from fire. So this is about nar, and this
Nar, yeah.
nar is controlled fire.
Yeah.
So how? Yeah, this is new information for me. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So our fire, sometimes it becomes uncontrolled. For example, we have, remember the fires in Australian forests all the time. Every year they have fire. So it become uncontrolled most of the time. So it took days to extinguish this fire. They are using helicopters. They are using, fire brigade and all possibilities, but still it's too much all the time. So fire is a chemical reaction. Since we are chemical professionals, so we will be taking it as a chemical reaction. Fire is a chemical chain reaction, and sometimes it becomes again uncontrolled, and sometimes we are going to control it. So fire has three main components which are combined together with a limited ratio. It is not necessary that whenever this heat, fuel and oxygen are going to combine, we will have the fire. It's not necessary. We need to have these things available in a
Chain reaction.
specific ratio. For example, nowadays, if you go out in Riyadh or in areas where in my city, Jeddah. So at 12 o'clock, you will find too much sunlight, which is producing too much heat. So when we have heat available, and if you are going to keep some paper under the sunlight, right, and the oxygen is in the surrounding, it is not going to catch the fire. There is no fire, although there is too much heat. There is a fuel is available, but oxygen is available, but still, and these three things are available, but we don't have fire. Why? Because we need to have these component available with a specific ratio, and mainly it depends on the fuel, on the property of fuel, because different fuel have different properties, right? For example, fire, for paper, wood, cloth, they are the component having their flammable point, okay, is very less as compared to plastic, as compared to iron, as compared to steel. So mainly the fire ignition depends on the property of fuel. For example, benzene, we have petrol is more lighter component, so from the vapors of petrol, in 1 second you will get the fire very high. But if you are going to put the match or the cigarette, burning cigarette, in the tank of diesel, you will not get the fire, although both are benzene, right? Because it depends on the property. The more lighter the component, the more chances of fire are there. For example, ethanol, methanol, alcohol, these are all alcohol derivatives. They are flammable material and they catch the fire very easily. But if this diesel, if it comes in the form of vapor, it will get the fire very easily because it becomes the lighter. So the fire mainly depend on the property of fuel, and definitely without the heat or the oxygen, fire is impossible. So when we are going to extinguish the fire, what is a simple rule to extinguish the fire is to take out one of the component, right? Take out one of the component. Whatever you see is easier to take out. Sometimes we take out heat when we are using water. What we are going to do, because water is going to eliminate the heat, so we are taking out the heat. Sometimes we are going to remove the oxygen. For example, when we are using the DCP cylinder, powder cylinder, fire extinguisher, it is going to make the layer on the surface from where the oxygen cannot come in contact. So now give me one answer for this question, that for example you have a fire in your home, God forbid, or in an area where you have the fuel, there is a fire in the fuel line. So what will be your action? How to remove this fire? There is a pipeline going from one place to another place and there is a fire in this pipeline. What you need to do?
Extinguisher, CO2.
To switch from the main
Extinguisher.
source.
Close the valves, fuel valves.
Very good, very good. What we are going to do, the most easiest way to extinguish this fire is not to use the extinguisher, is not to use the water. You will be using the extinguisher, but until unless we have fuel available, this fire is not going to be stopped.
Close this.
So the most easier thing what we can do in our home, if there is a fire in cylinder or in the line, or if there is a fire in the pipeline of fuel, we need to remove the, we need to turn off the valve of this fuel. So the fuel which is inside the pipeline, it will burn, and after that the fire is going to be extinguished. Okay, so we need to take this decision very quickly, within seconds, within minutes. We have to take the decision that which of the component can we remove easily, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Yeah, I was thinking to give you this as a group discussion, but let me continue so we can do it faster. At least we can finish this fire chapter. There are 5 classification of fire. Always remember the classification which we are going to discuss is it's with American. In UK, the classification is different, right? So in UK there is no class K. In class A involve our normal fuel, for example, paper, plastic, wood, those which are very easy to get fired. These are all class A fire. And for class A fire, we can use water fire extinguisher, we can use any type of fire extinguisher, we can use DCP, we can use CO2, we can use any kind of fire extinguisher. Then class B is the fire which is mainly involving the flammable liquids such as gasoline, grease, oil, benzene, petrol, whatever the other flammable liquids are available, alcohol and their derivatives, these are all flammable liquids. So these are the class B fire. Class C fire is mainly the electrical fire, right? Is the electrical fire. Then we have class D. Class D is the fire which is in the metals. For example, if there is a fire in magnesium, sodium, potassium, this kind of fire which is going to be occur in the flammable metals, we call it class D fire. Then we have class K. With the K, we can remember the name that K means kitchen, right? This class K is the kitchen, where you are going to use the wet chemical or some other fire extinguishers, right? You can also use the DCP. So class K is the fire which is going to have in our kitchens, for mainly in our, for example, you are going to frying something in the frying pan, then if there is a fire which is coming from the fry pan, it's called our class K fire, right? This is sometimes a controlled fire and sometimes it become uncontrolled if we are not going to take the actions, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So how many of you have fire extinguisher in your home?
I have, sir, in our
We
kitchen.
do.
Very good, very good. You must have, or at least in your kitchen, you must have a fire blanket available.
Yes.
Is it clear classification of fire?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So this classification we have taken from NFPA 10. It's not defined in OSHA. Why? Ask me why.
Why?
Why?
Z. This is because, see, there are two, what we call it, there are two bodies. One is the OSHA and one is the NFPA. This NFPA is the authority which is National Fire Protection Association. It also works under the Department of Labor. And this OSHA is also an agency which works under the Department of Labor. They have done the division. The cases which are relevant to the fire and the cases which are relevant to the electrical safety, these are being dealt by NFPA. And those issues which are relevant to occupational health and safety, these are being dealing by OSHA. Clear? So the good thing about this NFPA and OSHA that they don't supersede each other. Wherever there is a requirement from NFPA is available, OSHA remains silent and OSHA says reference to NFPA, for example, blah blah standard. Have you seen in when we were discussing the fire chapter, emergency chapter? So where you have find NFPA 10, refer NFPA 10 building code. So this is those things which are relevant to the fire, emergency, electrical safety. These are being addressed in NFPA standards, and OSHA also refer the same thing. OSHA does not say anything about them. OSHA says follow your NFPA standards. Similarly, those requirements which are relevant to occupational health and safety, these are being discussed by OSHA. And whenever there is such requirement coming, or NFPA says that refer to your OSHA standard, right? So since we are dealing with the fire now, so that's why we are using the classification which is coming from the NFPA. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Types of fire extinguishers. There are many types of fire extinguishers which are commonly available, but we are going to discuss important types. The main type is the dry chemical or DCP. Dry chemical or DCP, dry chemical powder, DCP, dry chemical powder. This dry chemical powder is a very good fire extinguisher which you can use on almost all types of fires. A class fire, B class fire, C class fire. You can use it, but we don't use it on C class fire because this has a very good sticking power. This powder is basically ammonium phosphate, and then there are two components in the powder fire extinguisher. One is the gas, which is a nitrogen gas, and the job for the gas is to keep it pressurized, and the other one is the ammonium phosphate powder. This powder has the ability to make the surface area away from the oxygen, and similarly also it produces the cold effect, so the heat is also going to be reduced. But only class C, if there is no other option available, we can use the DCP, no problem. But on electrical equipments or components, we avoid we avoid the DCP powder, because it makes a very strong layer on the surface, and due to this powder our equipment can also be damaged, because it's powder, it can go everywhere. So that's why on class C, the recommended fire extinguisher is CO2, the gas. CO2 in nature is a very coolant gas. It's very coolant gas. So whenever it is going to touch the surface or the material, it is going to remove the heat. So the fire is going to be extinguished. But with the passage of time, this CO2 is also going in the atmosphere. So for the CO2, the precautions are that never use the CO2 fire extinguisher in the confined space, because this CO2 is going to reduce the
Suffocate.
oxygen level. And if you are using the CO2 in confined space or in the enclosed areas, for example, small stores like that, confined pits, so in this case, it might be possible that your own survival become very difficult. So that's why now the CO2 is being replaced, and now we have what we call the electrical components. Which gas is now using, Murtaza? I forget the name. Which is the replacement of in our control rooms, in our database rooms, we have the firefighting system, which is
Thallium.
I forget. Okay, I will tell you in a while.
It's
I
a
remember.
foam, I think so. They use a foam.
No, not the foam.
Thallium.
Foam never used on electrical components. Before
Thallium.
it was CO2, now it's, sorry,
FM FM
Sand?
200.
FM200. Exactly. Very good. FM200. FM200 is a human friendly and also environmental friendly gas. So now in last couple of years, we have seen that all the database centers, all the server where the computer servers are there, the control panels are there, the companies, they have replaced the CO2 system with the FM200, which is more efficient than CO2, because as I told you, CO2 will reduce the level of oxygen, and due to which the possibility for the human survival, it also become very difficult. So when we are using, and if we are using the CO2 in an open atmosphere, it will not be much effective, because it will go up. So that's why FM200 is a very good replacement. So we have dry chemical powder, we have CO2, we can also use the water, we can also use some other components for the fire extinguisher. There is also K-type fire extinguishers available. Wet chemical are available, which are considered as K-type fire extinguishers. Right, as required by our Difal Madni, whenever we have the fire extinguishers, the instructions for operating the fire extinguishers must be available in English and Arabic. How to use the fire extinguisher must be available in Arabic and English. And similarly, what are the which classification of fire it can be used, it must also be available in Arabic and English. How to use the fire extinguisher? Pass means pull the pin, take the pin out, and then aim. Our aim of this nozzle shall also always be on the bottom of the fire, right, on the root of the fire, and then squeeze. You are going to press this handle and then sweep, and like we are going to do sweeping. So the fire which is in this area, we are also going to use fire extinguisher here, we are also going to use the fire extinguisher here. So it will be sweep easily, and there will be no such uh, other components or other material available in the surrounding which can cause again the fire, right? So always remember this word, pass. Remember, pass. You need to pass the exam also.
Yes, sir. Inshallah.
Inshallah. So inspection of how we are going to do the inspection of portable fire extinguisher, as required by OSHA, we need to do the monthly inspection. And monthly inspection, we are going to see the overall uh, overall surface of the shell. We are going to check the nozzle if there is any damage, if there is any distraction. We are going to see the pressure gauge level. It must be on the green side. If it is less pressure, it will become red side, right? It must be full. If it is a full, then it will be straight, perpendicular, it will be on the green side. Then we are going to check the overall condition of the fire extinguisher. We need to see that the identification of fire extinguisher should be on the front. How to use the fire extinguisher, these instructions shall also be on the front, right? And those fire extinguishers which are having DCP, we need to shake them 5 times. Why we are going to shake them 5 times? As I told you, there are two components. One is the powder and one is the nitrogen gas. Powder is heavier. Like me, with the passage of time, it becomes, it starts sleeping. But so when you are going to use the fire extinguisher without shaking, or on monthly inspection, if you are not going to shake it, what will happen when you are going to use in case of emergency? Only nitrogen will come and powder is still sleeping, right? So we are going to shake them so the powder can wake up, and we need a mixture of both, because with the nitrogen, it's the pressure which we are going to use, and the powder is the main component which is going to extinguish the fire. So that's why we are going to mix together, so it will remain energized all the time. Clear?
Yes.
We are using color code system according to this.
Color code nowadays these are obsolete. No need. OSHA standard on our defile bandi standard required just to mention that which kind of fire extinguisher is this. Color code maafi mushkil. Okay. Let's have a last topic. I will try to cover this as soon as possible. Fire prevention plan. Fire prevention plan. Remember, we have the fire extinguisher, right? We have discussed about emergency, but our main duty as a safety department is to avoid the fire as much as possible. Although it's good to have that you are creating the emergency action plan, it's good to have that you are learning the firefighting, but this situation is secondary, right? Before this situation comes, we have to apply all the possible controls. Prevention is better than cure. So we need to apply the fire prevention plan, so there will be a very less chance for fire. As required by OSHA standard, we need to have the fire prevention plan. How we are going to develop the fire prevention plan? There are simple fire prevention plans, which means that we need to identify all the areas which have high risk, which have high potential for the fire. We need to make the segregation. For example, flammable material, non-flammable material, we need to segregate, and we need to keep them in the area. For example, if you have a building drying available, you need to identify all the areas which have high potential of fire. You need to have fire extinguisher, fire hydrant, smoke detectors available. These must be available, clearly mentioning in your fire prevention plan, because these are all the relevant to the fire. And then we need to we need to maintain a good level of housekeeping. As I told you before at the start of our day, as I told you, 40% of accidents, fire accidents, are happening due to the bad housekeeping. So we need to maintain a good level of housekeeping in our site. We need to provide the training to our people for this fire prevention. Although this fire prevention plan is not a mandatory requirement here in the kingdom, we need to have the emergency evacuation plan, but still this could be this is one of the requirement as far as OSHA standards are concerned. So this will be same in the pattern of emergency evacuation plan. We can develop the fire prevention plan, but this will not be a fire emergency plan. Always remember, this is a prevention. How to prevent the fire, right, before it is going to be happen. Emergency action will come if the fire is going to be happen. Emergency prevention plan will come before, to avoid the fire. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question?
No.
Okay, now check your knowledge. In construction of exit route, a 5-story building must have the exit route fire resistant for 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, none. A, B, C, D.
Yes, sir.
A.
A. Very good. Very good. Which of the following is the best combination used in fire triangle? Oxygen, solid, liquid, gases, combustion, combustible substance, oxygen, heat. Fuel, oxygen,
C.
heat.
C.
All of above.
C, sir.
Yes.
C, sir.
C.
C,
Very good.
oxygen, all
C.
oxygen.
Very good. Pass stands for?
Pull, aim, squeeze.
Aim, squeeze, sweep.
If you don't know the meaning of pass, then it's very difficult to pass the exam.
Pull, aim, squeeze, pass.
Very good.
Sweep.
Squeeze,
Sweep.
sweep. Class D fire involves flammable and combustible liquids, that is gasoline, solvent, and alcohol. True or false?
False.
Class D is for metals.
Very good.
Metals.
This is class
False.
B, which involves flammable and combustible liquids. So this is false, right? The best fire extinguisher to be used for electrical fire is CO2. Correct?
Yes, true.
False.
True.
Very good. What are the main steps for the fire extinguisher inspection?
Check the date.
Check the nozzle, check the cylinder,
check the gauge,
check the temperature,
check the gauge for if it's green, check the nozzle if it's
right. Yes, these are all the steps we need to have. Yes, guys, any question? Okay, thank you so much. And tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to meet at 6 o'clock.
Sir, I say something.
Yes, please.
Tomorrow, possible 6:30.
Why?
Because office finish at 6 o'clock.
And then?
And then 30 minutes I will come to my home.
Do you have internet in your mobile?
Yes, have, but
Maafi mushkil. We will see from 6 to 6:20, 6:25. We are just doing the revision. But the thing is that if we are going to have, delaying the time again, then after 6:30, Maghrib prayer starts. So if I think in Abha they have before 7, and Riyadh before 7, and then it comes to Jeddah, Makkah, Medina. So that's why I'm trying to take the breaks according to this time, so it will be suitable for everyone. If we are going to start at 6:30, then we will be taking the first break at 7:30, right? And then after 1 hour there is Isha time. So if you have the mobile and internet available, khalas, you can just log in with your mobile internet. 5-10 minutes if you are going to lose, no problem. Okay. So remember your homework. I'm also going to write on the WhatsApp. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice weekend.
Should we submit the homework?
Sorry?
Should we submit the homework on WhatsApp?
Yes. Yeah, you can submit on WhatsApp. If you want to submit in the group, you can send into the group. And if you want to send it to me directly, you can send it to me. It's up to you.
Okay. How about yesterday's homework?
You can also send it in the group or send it to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm for the